This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is Monday, the 2nd of December, 2024. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And this is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. Former Naparima College principal Dr. Michael Dowlath is chosen by the United National Congress to contest the San Fernando West seat after the party started its screening on Friday. Speaking with the media on Sunday, he said he's looking forward to working in the constituency and with the executive in dealing with the issues and moving forward positively. Faris Alwari is the current member of parliament for San Fernando West. Party leader Kamla Prasad Bisesa also announced incumbent MPs for Barataria San Juan and Chaguanas East, Saddam Hussein and Vandana Mohit, respectively, were again selected to contest those seats. Prasad Bisesa said Dowlath, Hussein and Mohit were chosen for what she described as three so-called marginal seats. Dowlath was chosen over other nominees for San Fernando West, including Senator Gianti Lachmidial Ramdial and the UNC's Marabella West Councillor John Ali Bokas. In Barataria San Juan, Hussein, who won in 2020, will be fighting the PNM's Dr. Mohammed Ibrahim, the Senate Vice President. For Chaguanas East, Mohit will go up against PNM's Richie Sukai, Minister in the Ministry of Works. And media reports indicate the PNM will start its screening of prospective candidates for 15 held constituencies this evening. Laventille West will be the first area to be screened. It said the screening will be done in 6 batches from 5 to 7:30 p.m. The UK-based Privy Council will today begin to hear submissions in the final appeal over a lawsuit brought by former Chief Magistrate Marcia A. Caesar over a short-lived judicial appointment. The UK Supreme Court President Lord Robert Reid is expected to chair the 5-member appeal panel that will preside over the matter, in which the Judicial and Legal Service Commission and Chief Justice Ivor Archie are claiming that the local Court of Appeal got it wrong when it upheld her case in October last year. The appeal will commence in the UK Supreme Court building at 11 a.m. UK 7 a.m. local time and will continue on Tuesday morning. Caesar was appointed a High Court judge in April of 2017, but 2 weeks later, she resigned from the post amid public criticism over almost 50 cases she had left unfinished when she took up that new position. Caesar then filed the lawsuit in which she claimed she was pressured by Chief Justice Ivor Archie and the JLSE to resign over the threat that her appointment would be revoked. The Oilfield Workers Trade Union, OWTU, says it will intensify protest action until the Petritron Refinery returns to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. This is from OWTU President General Ansel Roger, who said the refinery and assets of Petritron belong to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Speaking on Saturday at the Point-de-Paix roundabout in recognition of the 6th anniversary of the closure of Petritron, Roger said he believed the closure of Petritron affected more than 5,000 employees who were laid off. Roger said, quote, 6 years ago, we were all over the country telling people who cared to listen that 5,000 workers were going to be displaced, contract workers, service providers, caterers, and so on. Everyone directly connected to Petritron were going to lose, Roger said. He said, eventually, the closure of Petritron on November 30th, 2018 was the greatest crime committed against the workers and people of South Trinidad and all citizens. The Pan-American Health Organization is campaigning to put human rights at the forefront of efforts to end the HIV epidemic. On Sunday, yesterday, the globe commemorated World AIDS Day on December 1st. The observance first started December 1st, 1988, by 2 public information officers from the World Health Organization as an international day to raise awareness about HIV/AIDS. PAHO is urging local communities to act decisively as countries work toward ending the epidemic. According to a 2023 UN AIDS report, there were 39.9 million people living with HIV worldwide, and 86% knew their status. As of 2023, 1.3 million people made up new infections, and approximately 630,000 people died from AIDS-related illnesses in that year alone. Finally, U.S. President Joe Biden has issued an official pardon for his son Hunter Biden, who was set to face sentencing this month on federal felony gun and tax convictions. Biden had previously said he would not pardon his son or commute his sentence. However, on Sunday evening, he said he believed in the justice system. Politics had infected the process and led to a miscarriage of justice. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming up at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Good Monday morning, neighbors. It is the second day of the month of December. Yeah. We've reached that month, 23 days to Christmas. Thank you so much for joining us on the Power Breakfast Show on Power 102 Digital. Full casting this morning. You just heard from Dr. Paul Richards. We'll hear from Wendell Stephen, Richard Ragoobarsingh. We got Ruben and Shade in the mix. Of course, my name is Steve Khan. 25 degrees at Piarco, 26 at Crown Point in Tobago. And is the Met Office updated yet? No, they have not. All right. Of course, on the highways and on the byways, I've got one accident to tell you about. It is southbound on the Diego Martin Highway. Whereabouts exactly? Whereabouts? Just after Crystal Stream, put it that way, if you're heading southbound. So you got a bunk accident there. All right. So good morning to you, Paul. What's happening? How was your weekend?
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, pal. How you doing?
I'm all right. Good morning, everyone.
Did you sleep all day yesterday with that rain?
No, I did not.
You didn't?
I was correcting papers.
Oh, I slept all day until I could catch my... to go to bed last night. Needed that little rest.
Let's say congratulations to Nicholas Paul, who placed second in the men's sprint final in the Omnisport Apple Dome in the Netherlands at the second leg of the UCI track champions league. He did very, very well.
Congratulations, my friend.
Last week he finished third in the sprint and fifth in the Karen event. So
the next one will be first.
Let's start with some good news. Congratulations to him. We have some video to share later on.
Boy. Wonderful. Good morning to all our viewers on M&E TV. Those on Facebook and on YouTube. Good morning to you all. Thank you so much for watching and listening as usual. Hey, where's Wendell? Wendell is late.
Could be in an airport somewhere in Wendell.
Could be in an airport somewhere. Yeah, could be. Good morning to all those heading back. A lot of people I know flew in for their 4-day weekend, including my cousin. That's heading back out this morning. So good morning to you all.
This is Nicholas Paul lining up in the race in the Netherlands, where he did second, which is very good actually. He's continuing to do very, very well. He placed second in the men's sprint final at that meet in Netherlands, the second leg of the UCI Track Champions League. He secured the semi-final victory when he got the better of Australian Matthew Richardson, who got 64 points initially. In the final, Paul came up against Dutch Olympic champion Harry Leveson, riding in front of his home crowd. Leveson claimed victory and moved to the top of the leaderboard with 71 points. Paul's second place finish moved his overall tally to 58 points, maintaining his third position overall in the standings. He earned a podium spot in the Karen event, finishing third behind winner Christian Ortega of Colombia and Larison, who settled for second in a thrilling final. And last week, Paul finished third in the sprint and fifth in the Karen event in the Champions League, the champion event in France, I should say. So he's continuing to do very well, keeping his head down and doing his work and representing the red, white, and black overseas. So you're seeing him there. I think that's him in the fourth position there. The audio has Andre Errol Batiste, so we don't want to play that. And this is Nicholas Paul, of course. Yeah. So is it each of the cyclists has a camera on his or her back, or that's the side camera?
No, that's the pace bike.
Pace bike. Okay. What is a pace bike? You see?
Well, I have a pace car, so I call it a pace bike.
Okay. And of course, you see him keeping abreast here.
He looks fourth at the time.
Yeah. That is such a highly technical sport. They see him moving ahead there.
Those bikes so lighter.
Yep.
Right. Third, almost a second. He is now second. Yep. Just open up the DRS game second. Yeah.
Yep. So congratulations to him. Continuing to do us proud internationally. Let me start with some good news this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And of course, back at home,
Oh, Lord.
there was a terrible accident on the highway yesterday.
Yes, by Trinity, somewhere there with children in the car.
Closer to Arima.
Yeah.
Terrible accident. It was closer on the highway to Arima. It wasn't by Trinity.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, there were children in the car. I didn't have any injuries, but people got injured. I didn't have any fatalities, thank God.
No, yeah, I didn't have any fatalities, but they were.
I think it was a 5-car smash up. 5 cars were involved, and you see. The sad thing about it is that my understanding is there was traffic was backed up so bad because police took like about an hour and a half to get to the scene.
Now, explain that.
I don't know. I don't understand it. And police always supposed to be in highway patrol. I heard it took the police forever to get to the scene of the accident.
An hour and a half.
And it's really a terrible accident. Look at it,
That is a terrible accident.
Mm-hmm. It's a really, really bad. It was a really, really bad accident.
Oh, Lord. Look at tire and cradle arm and everything on one.
Yeah. When you see that hit,
that car.
That's some velocity those cars were traveling at. But to drag out that tire and cradle and everything, I mean, I'm surprised that none of the cars were overturned. So, but I mean, they were taking people, including children, out of the cars affected. And
I know one person was stuck and had to wait for fire services. At least that is what the commentary on the video said. But this kids, I think everybody went to Mount Hope.
Yeah, they took everyone involved to Mount Hope. As I said, thank God we didn't hear about any fatalities coming out of that, but there was certainly several injuries.
Yeah. And then there was the other accident on the avenue.
Well, that's coming up just now. And I'm just going to warn you. It's very, very graphic. It involves somebody getting run down a hit-and-run accident. Fortunately, at the end of it, you see a police car pulling up and following the car. I hope they caught the driver.
Yeah.
But there was a police car at the end of it, seemingly in pursuit of the driver of the car that hit the man and continued, did not stop. And you must know you hit somebody. You must know the way that car hit.
Yeah, I saw the damage. The side mirror was broken. But driving at that, you cannot drive on the avenue at that speed.
This is still the footage of the Arima accident.
Yeah.
That occurred yesterday. I think about 10:30 yesterday morning.
Yesterday morning, yeah.
And again, doesn't look good for police not to be on the scene within minutes.
I don't know,
Isn't it? I mean, are they highway patrols? And
yes, but they drive on the bus route all the time.
The footage from this accident went viral minutes later. So it's not that people didn't know that that the accident took place. I'm surprised police took so long to get to the scene of the accident.
And the Aruka police station is 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
Morning, Wendell.
Hi, good morning, Steve. Morning, Paul. Morning, Richard. Morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
Accident on Ariapita Avenue.
Yeah, there's the RP.
Oh my God.
Just got hit. You got side swipe. But look at the police.
Are you all hearing me?
Yes, we are.
Oh, because in the middle of my morning greetings, I started to hear talks. I see.
We had time to wait for you this morning. We're talking about other things.
I want to say good morning to people, boy. Have some respect.
You have to wait because you came in late and we're talking about other things.
I came in. That's the important thing, and I have to say I should at least be afforded the courtesy of saying good morning.
Well, you said good morning. We heard that.
You said good morning.
We heard that. And we said good morning, Wendell.
All right.
Arab down.
All right. What are you all talking about now?
That took place over the weekend.
Yeah, that one on Arapita Avenue is as crazy as you can get.
Yeah.
How could that person driver, I think they identify a woman driver, has
Yeah.
not known she knocked down somebody and gone away.
You couldn't not know you knocked down somebody. And
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't realize the police car was there before.
The police car was blocking a privacy, someone who was probably making an illegal drive. They were occupied with that. Because if you saw someone coming up, maybe a one-way or something, and the police car was in front of them in the middle of the intersection.
Behind the driver that hit the pedestrian.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm happy that he didn't die.
Sorry?
I'm happy that he didn't die, at least, because at least he's been hospitalized with it.
But the individual did not stop and continue. The police car that was that had actually looked like it stopped someone on Anna Street, reversed and caught up to her at another light.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
She failed a breathalyzer, but she bonded out this morning. Yesterday morning.
Yeah, yesterday.
Justice of the Peace.
Yeah.
Of course,
her life will never be the same again. And certainly the person who she knocked down, life will never be the same again either. But her life, I mean, for that, because she was speeding. She literally flew through that intersection.
But you keep hearing more and more about hit and runs. Be it be a car, a pedestrian. You know, there's so many hit and runs now.
Well, now that David is also confirming that she was caught given a breathalyzer and found over the legal limit and given bail or bond or whatever it is. That must be why she didn't stop, because she knew she was inebriated.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, but you must know you hit somebody. You must know somebody, a human being. So
you'll definitely know.
The fact
drunk or sober.
The fact that you continue driving like that is like, I mean, really. Anyway,
and there was another video that I saw last week on Uriah Butler Highway. And this clearly the individual that was driving the pickup was drunk. He went from the shoulder on the left to the extreme right lane. He couldn't keep a straight line. And again, Paul, as you said, aren't they supposed to have highway patrols?
Well, Brent Batson, who we spoke to last week, said the incidence of pedestrian accidents is increasing.
Yeah.
The other part of it is that, I mean, you need to be very careful when you're crossing the road. I mean, he didn't cross at a corner. He was crossing in the middle of the road. The person who got hit, that is. You understand?
Yeah.
And clearly,
let me bring up this example. Right in front of the Pet Butler on Enscore Road. School is now completed. Kids are coming out. There's a crosswalk right there. And I watched it. The girl was saying bye to her friends, and she just turned around and walked. And luckily the driver was kind of alert. He realized what was going. He slammed on the brakes, and she just got tipped with the side mirror and she fell, but she was okay. But I actually saw her just turn and walk without looking.
Yeah. But plenty of people make errors. I mean, pedestrians make errors, and which is why when we spoke with Brent Banksy, remember we raised the issue of because we drive on the PBR, people, those maxis stopping and people crossing in front of them or behind them, those maxis inappropriately stopping most of the times, because they stop a lot on the crosswalks or before the crosswalk. And you can't see, so you naturally, as a driver, slow down when you see a maxi stopping, because you're expecting some crazy person to walk through that space.
Well, to be fair, you should be slowing down anyway by a crosswalk.
Yeah, it's flashing lights.
Particularly if your view is obscured.
Right, so that what I was saying, we would have experienced that because of where we drive. But there are some people, there are some other maxis, like, man, maxi knock down people that way too. On this PBR?
I don't drive past no maxi without stopping on the bus route, because once the maxi is stopped, no matter what you tell people, do not cross to the front of the maxi, people will still cross in the front of the maxi, and there's no way of seeing someone. So you might as well just stop and make sure nobody's crossing and continue. It's not worth the headache or the risk to someone's injury by continuing as if everything is okay.
No, at all.
Yeah.
The UNC has started its screening process, and I understand the PNM is to start this evening. The UNC has chosen Dr.
The PNM is to continue, not start.
Continue,
PNM started their screening process long time.
Dr. Michael Dowlath to contest San Fernando West, and incumbents Vandana Mohit and Saddam Hussein for Chaguanas East and Barataria San Juan, respectively.
But I see the Michael Dr. Dowlath thing creating a little still, because it said there was a deadline to file nomination papers, which he didn't. He wasn't interested at the time. And this guy, Macamillan, the councillor, is the one who had filed. And now, so now that he seems to be the preferred pick, it's not going down too well with some folks up at San Fernando. But I wish them the best. I don't know who he was. Former principal of what school?
Naparima College.
Naparima College.
Right, and of course, Dr. Muhammad Ibrahim, who's the Senate Vice President, is going up in Barataria San Juan. And Rishi Sukai, Minister Rishi Sukai, is going up against Vandana Mohit in Chaguanas East.
So we don't know if Vandana gets selected yet.
Sorry?
We don't know if Vandana gets selected yet. We know Rishi Sukai has been selected.
Vandana has been selected as of yesterday, Wendell.
Oh, they finished that screening?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And Saddam Hussein.
Yeah, no surprises there.
Yeah. But I'm sure you all heard internationally that President Joe Biden pardoned his son.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which I think is an abuse of power. You know?
Which you think is what?
It's an obscene abuse of power.
Well, he had said he wasn't going to do it.
Obscene abuse of power.
On more than one occasion.
Obscene abuse of power, and the Democrats coming out and justifying it. If Trump was there to do the same thing, and all kind of spurious arguments. You are the president. Your son broke the law, and you use in your last literally 40 days. You use your presidential power to pardon your son, really? And there's one, and the both parties are getting so disgusting now. Let me tell you. And the excuse, man, what if Trump was there? He'd do it too. Don't you all remonstrate against Trump's actions like that? And
that is the nature of politics, you know. I'm sorry to say it, you know.
It's
all over the world is the same damn thing.
And they're going about trying to justify it because Trump, when he do it. I mean, Trump robbed nobody. Trump went fair and square. Well, as far as everybody could see. I ain't seen no Democrat come out and say Trump steal the election yet. Okay?
Well, the kind of abuses that Trump committed in his first term, Biden must be saying, or somebody must be advising him, because he was the one who was saying he is not going to do it.
And is it that because another side has or is accused of committing horrible acts and doing unethical things that you will say, well, they do it, so we do it too? That's where we're going?
I don't know why you're acting so surprised.
I'm not surprised, to be very honest. I'm disappointed.
Well, you know, America has disappointed so many people and disappointed the world in their actions and their voting and everything else.
Right was to say, oh, you owe us this. You put us in this. So sign that.
Joe Biden had said that his son, he felt, was unjustly prosecuted. You understand? That's what he said, and it's because he was his son why they went after him like that. That's what he felt.
I've always said, when you open the door on your own behalf, when others open the door on their own behalf, don't say nothing. Hush. Okay? Because
locally, bringing it back home, I don't know if the Prime Minister is reading the kind of backlash that's coming. That's coming with that increase, that acceptance of the SRC report. I don't know if he's reading it, but I read it, and it's from a lot of even known PNM people, because I know some of them. You know?
Because it will transcend party. Because at the end of the day, people have been told that we're in constrained economic times. That's always going to be the context of the conversation.
Yeah, hold on till 2027 or something. So I think that was his words at one time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, as I said, you know, I have made the plea for local government people, and I will continue to make the plea for local government people. You understand? When the People's Partnership did it in 2013, granted there was very little murmur during that time, because they were so leaps and far ahead in terms of power. They had 29, the PNM had 12. You understand? They had just won local government elections, decimated the PNM in local government elections too. You understand? They were riding on a real high at the point in time when they accepted it then. You know? So they could have gotten away with it, which they did. But it's a tough time to make a decision like that. But they made it. So let's see what happens. I know that sunlight at the back of me is maybe affecting my camera, but I can't avoid it, unfortunately.
And you hear Donald Trump's response? And when you do that, you embolden Donald Trump to do even worse things. You know that?
Yes.
Because
I don't know.
But now Donald Trump will say, well, if you could pardon your son, I could pardon anybody.
But he already signaled he's going to be pardoning some people involved in some...
The pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the January 6th hostages who've now been in prison for years. Such an abuse and a miscarriage of power, of justice. Yeah, when you do that, we keep slipping lower and lower down the sluice gate. What are you going to do? And as I said, I wasn't surprised. I'm just disappointed. Because people will justify anything. And he had the power and he used it. Okay? And you say, oh, you done run me out of tongue already and put up the vice president who failed. So I might as well get something out of it. You understand?
Well, I might as well see about my family and myself.
I might as well see about my family. Because them went through hell too while I was president. Okay?
Yeah.
Never a dull moment. Well, we're into December now, believe it or not. The year's almost ended. What a year. This was a fast year. And next year is going to be even faster.
This was a leap year, wasn't it?
Not that I know of. I do remember February 29th this year.
No, I didn't know it was last year.
You ain't breed nobody.
Who says so? Who says so?
It's true.
They just ain't come.
This year was a leap year.
They just ain't come forward yet.
My apologies. My apologies.
You really had the liberty to tell me what you want to do. I just got some messages from people there. Boy, you know what, Paul? I said, listen, I don't be bothered by Paul, you know. Paul can tell me what you want. Because trust me, I just feel I can tell him what I want to.
David West says 2024 is a leap year divisible by 4. It is? That's how it works? When is divisible by 4 is a leap year? Helen says it's a leap year when you breed somebody in treatment, though. That's when you guys do a leap year. When
breathe on.
And I hear calling the child Palm Stevens.
Oh
After your favorite place.
After my favorite. As I said, I swear to Almighty God, I have never been to a double palm. I have been curious. As a matter of fact, I'm so curious. The one right opposite me, I see people driving onto that one all the time. I've been so curious. I've wanted to just go in and just see what it's like, but I've never done it.
You know, as you walk, and somebody go take a picture, right?
I know. They're gonna say, look him.
Watch him. Today also, of course, you know, our favorite place in Trinidad and Tobago is the Privy Council. Must say, what they become independent for? They always harass me over something they can't figure out themselves. Anyway, they will begin to hear submissions in the final appeal over a lawsuit brought by former Chief Magistrate Marcia A. Caesar over her very short-lived judicial appointment. UK Supreme Court President Lord Robert Reid is expected to chair the 5-member panel, which will preside over the matter, in which the Judicial and Legal Services Commission and the Chief Justice Ivor Archie are claiming that the local court of appeal got it wrong when they upheld Marcia A. Caesar's matter in October last year. So we'll see how that goes.
Trinidad and Tobago always before that Privy Council.
I never understood how that situation unfolded. I just thought, as a matter of due diligence, that if a magistrate is being considered for a position on the bench as a judge, right? I'm just presuming that things work how they're supposed to work. That, well, somebody will say, we consider you to be a judge. Are you open to the position? Yes. How many matters do you have pending? 50. What is the timeline to getting them completed? X time. Okay, we will put your appointment for when you finish those matters. It's in the bag. Don't you imagine that's how it will work?
Well, I imagine that's how it did work. But they remember they were alleging, and I'm paraphrasing here, that she may not have been forthright with the amount of things that she had on her table. That is I think what was reported back then.
But to me that doesn't sound like it makes any sense, because
you would know it.
Because the Chief Justice just has to make a call and tell whoever his assistant is to look in the magistracy and see how many matters are pending that are being managed by Mrs. A. Caesar. Not so?
Yeah.
And quite frankly, the Chief Justice also should have exercised due diligence. Not so?
Yes, that's what I thought.
In addition to Marcia A. Caesar being forthright, I would imagine in terms of due diligence, the Office of the Chief Justice would also do that and make sure that there's a timeline involved so that the matters are not compromised in any way before Mrs. A. Caesar is appointed as a High Court judge. But apparently that's not how things work in Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, I'm sure it worked. I'm sure it worked after that, because there's never been an incident where a judge was appointed and the appointment revoked. So I'm sure whoever realized the error of their ways then and got it fixed.
The appointment wasn't revoked. She resigned the High Court position.
Well, it was in a kind of way, it was a revocation. In other words, you were asked.
A revocation. She resigned. Don't put nothing in it. Okay.
Okay.
It was.
I'm saying
that's a fact. She resigned.
Well. She was made. Well, wasn't she made to resign, Paul?
That's her allegation. Good morning, Ragoobarsingh.
Hi, good morning, guys, and good morning to our listeners and viewers wherever you are this first week in December.
Richard message. Good morning. Hope all is well.
Poor boy must be waiting so long. Poor child. I feel sorry for him.
In other words, we're waiting a while. Yeah, the official record states that she resigned. She's alleging she was told to resign or she would be revoked.
Right.
So the official record states that she resigned.
Okay. All right.
They
I accept that correction.
That she accepted responsibility for the debacle and freely tendered her resignation with the intention at that time to return as a magistrate to complete the part-heard cases. I just don't understand how this got to that when it's a simple matter of public record from the Office of the Chief Justice, who has access to that information, and from Mrs. A. Caesar, who would know how many cases she has pending on her docket. It's just confusing to me.
Why is this back up in the public space again?
Because they're meeting in the Privy Council today.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure why the conversation was in that direction.
We hired the Privy Council again to do what we can't do here.
Yeah. Well, people have the right to go there, so.
But because we can't do it here, apparently. We can't have no final appellate court here. We're not able with that yet.
Well, it's a choice.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on Joe Biden pardoning his son, Ragoobarsingh?
Your thoughts on what?
Joe Biden pardoning his son, Hunter Biden.
And that optically, that's bad. It reads too much of conflict of an interest. I mean, I didn't read the story in depth. I just saw the headline coming across.
He's inferring that politics infected the process that led to a miscarriage of justice and his son being convicted. Hogwash.
Yeah.
You have to justify your act of getting your son off the hook. You understand? You have to find a way of justifying that. And as I say, that those are things they accuse Donald Trump of being heinous in doing. And you do the same thing. Yeah. Abuse of power, in my opinion. Abuse of power.
America had to thank God they had Barack Obama for 2 terms, you know.
And he knew he'd get backlash, but at this point he had nothing to lose. Think about it. In 40 days he out.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything to.
I might as well use my power and fix my son.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything to answer to at this point. I just saw the headline come across, but I didn't really read the story, and I was just like, what? Oh, what? But I didn't read it to get it like contextualized of how was this done, why was it done.
It was done because it's his son.
So I mean, whatever his justification was. But yeah, but it reads immediately off the top of it as a conflict of interest.
Of course.
Because it's your son.
There's
no way optically it can ever look good. Because
so you can try to justify it how you want. And if you see them trying to justify it last night, the Democrats. You understand?
Yeah. Optically.
What you've done is justified anything Trump is going to do in the next 4 years. And when he goes out of power.
Yeah.
You know that?
And the Democrats generally are not as aggressive as the Republicans in terms of that political fight.
Mm-hmm.
And this, or what Joe Biden would have done, is kind of it's not a strong punch in terms of that kind of fight. In terms of the fight for different things that they could do legislatively that they did not accomplish, because sometimes
that's probably because, Richard, a Democratic president has never been in a position like Joe Biden is in, where your son was on charges.
Oh, I'm not talking about that specifically, Wendell. I'm talking about the different issues. For example, you remember there was legislation at one point to stop Trump being able to run again as a legislative tool that anybody with a conviction and stuff like that could not run for president. However, they were framing it, and Mitch McConnell didn't allow it to come up to the Senate at all. Because Mitch McConnell was then head of the Senate. Why wasn't that brought back when you were in control of the Senate? I mean, you weren't in control of the Senate by much, but you were still in control of the Senate. But I'm saying there's certain things that the Democrats could be a little bit more aggressive, which the Republicans have no qualms about doing and being aggressive about.
reminds me so much of our local politics. So much.
What do you all think of Caribbean Airlines launching a Juve ban and rum punch?
Huh? When did that happen?
Over the weekend.
Caribbean Airlines launched a Juve ban and a rum punch?
Mm-hmm. They had this launch at is it Mayflower, one of those buildings around the Queen's Park, Savannah, some CIM thing. So everybody went, what's the secret? Only to hear the launch of Juve ban and a rum punch through a collaboration with Angostura.
I have no issue with the rum punch. I mean, the Juve ban, I don't know. I assume all of this is connected to brand and branding.
Is that branding exercise?
Yeah, it's branding. So you see how it all works. So, I mean, certainly the rum punch, you have the facility to market it through all your free.
That's true, because you could have your own in-flight rum punch.
Yeah.
But doesn't Angostura already have a rum punch?
Yeah, but you could work with
you could rebrand and have one for
other brands to
yeah.
So is it that they have paid, or they are made a deal with Angostura, so that the rum punch will now be called Caribbean Airlines rum punch?
I don't know the details.
The same rum punch, or is it a different rum punch?
I'm
It's
sure
It's a different rum punch.
Okay.
I guess it's branding. Their version of branding.
So easily I solved that problem, Wendell. It's a different
You
rum
did.
punch.
You did. You did.
Let's see if it's back now.
It was.
You did.
So it'll be interesting to see how the Privy Council. Did I lose him?
I thought I was the one who was lost.
Okay.
He
No. Richard.
did lose him.
Yeah. So let's open up the lines. 222-8255. North Americans, toll free. 866-525-1099. Back out to work for you guys. Good morning to the folks out in Buffalo, buried in snow. Good morning to you all. All right, so we'll take some of your calls. Rich, you're back?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my internet this morning. But anyway, yeah, that I did the issue with Marcia Caesar going up before the Privy Council today. So I said it'll be interesting to see how the Privy Council decides it. I'm not so sure how they're going to decide it. It really has certain, I don't know if Marcia's team's argument is legitimate expectation attached to why she would have resigned. And therefore, that legitimate expectation did not come through. And so, therefore, that's where the substantive damage lies. I don't. We'll see how that plays out.
Is it that because she was made, even for 2 weeks, a high court judge, that she could not go back to the magistracy after?
It's weird. It's weird. I mean,
is that what happened?
It was. I mean, it's a while ago now. So you're taxing my memory concerning the exact circumstances of the case. But it was strange that she obviously had a legitimate expectation. That's why he resigned. He didn't resign without contact, which I assume is what her argument is.
Right, guys, we have some calls coming through, so let's grab them. Good morning.
Anyway,
Good morning.
Morning.
Mr. Stephen, Mr. Richard, Mr. Paul, and Steve Khan. Yeah, I'm lucky again early this morning because I know I put on all the only first. I listened to what's going on with Mr. Biden and the politics. As a senior citizen, everything in this place is so going down the road. You have in our country here some certain politicians and people in front of the court 20 years, and some of them cases can't finish up to this day. Right? You have the legal system, people again, court order, just to get the cases heard now for now. I want to know if it's like you have two different court systems in this country here. It's so sickening. You have another man have a set of money for people for houses and land he take. The former top man. Right? People crying in the paper, they're crying on the radio. They put out $1 million for a set of land he take. He said he's supposed to sell them and build houses. And ain't nothing about that. But a doctor already and them just take his money for themselves, as they're saying. Right? This have a long history on that. But our country, as I always say, it's too much of deceitfulness going on here. Too much. It's time, as Mr. Paul is saying, it's a joke. I know in Parliament, you be watching them. Something has to be done, boy. And this way getting them criminals and them the next thing. All this system was called them a human rights. They caused this, If they was doing the right thing and hanging people and setting an example, all this stupidness should not be going on. Anyhow, everybody, have a good day. And Steve must save it on me, Josie, please. Right. Have a good morning.
All right,
Right.
Mr. Grant, take care.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, Steve.
Yes, good morning.
Morning, Steve. Morning, Richard.
Morning.
Wendell. Morning, Paul.
That's Gemma? Morning. That's someone like Gemma.
Yes, Gemma.
Hey, Jem, how
Hey,
you
Gemma.
doing?
Hey, Jama, how are you?
You're good?
No, he's so good at all.
Sounding a little weak.
What happened to you this morning?
Sitting with pressure on the heart.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah,
You have to take it easy.
very easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I know this is your time of the year, Jama. I know you love a Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I ain't taking it on.
Good.
My daughter's seen about everything. My big daughter. Yeah,
So they give you a break, well-deserved break.
Yeah.
yes, I ain't at all. Okay. I just let me tell you good morning this morning.
Well, thank you so much for calling,
Yeah,
Jem.
lovely
We've
to hear
been
from
talking
you,
to you last
Jama. Yeah, lovely to hear from you.
week.
Yes, Richard, I know you will back up me for one.
I'm not
Yes,
talking, yeah.
yes. You know him well.
Yes.
Have a good one, Gemma. Thank you so much for calling.
Okay.
Should you have papers?
And we organize and
Well,
they come by you
Guardian
for
this morning.
Christmas.
Sorry, Paul. You want me to start with the Guardian? That's all I have.
Richard is on protest or something. He protesting something with you, Paul.
Since he buffed me the other day, and boy, he's always had papers. And
Yeah. I realize
It's not
there's a
really trying to
protest
be
going on.
an accurate statement at all, but it's what are you gonna
Well,
do?
he is a lawyer, you know.
He's an
So
attorney. 6:47. Sorry, Monday, 2nd December. Let's start with the Express. OWTU to hit the streets apparently. See what anniversary of the closure of Petro-Trin? 7th anniversary. Turtles saved. 24 turtles were yesterday rescued from a home in Gasparillo and will be rehabilitated. That was too much work this morning. Minister troubled by Tobago crime. That's Minister Ayanna Webster Roy. Road deaths alarm. Pedestrian road deaths have risen by an alarming 72%. Biker dies in Tobago crash. Ex-NAPS principal picked as UNC candidate for San Fernando West. And police witness Aria Peter hit and run. So those are trending stories in your
Sorry. Oh my God.
tortoises.
Good Junkanoo.
Tortoises.
I could do the Guardian. Tell me something in the Peter Avenue incident. Did the person die or?
No.
no, he's in hospital.
Oh, great. That was
Lucky. One step again.
It looked terrific. Anyway, the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian, just in case you didn't know, today is December 2nd, 2024, as we are now in the countdown towards Christmas. And the main headline of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today, doctors want pay hike too. That's the main headline that the Guardian went with. Dr. MDs launch petition seeking better salaries and working conditions. And there's an inset photo of Dr. Kevin Harris, who's the Northwest Doctors Association president. 3 UNC MPs to give away wage increase until West not backing party nominees. So there seems to be some dissension in the PNM and bacchanal taking place in the PNM. So we'll see how all of that plays out. Bacchanal
In the PNM?
in the PNM.
Did you say in the PNM?
Yes, I was waiting to hear your retort. PNM,
No, I didn't
PNM Laventil West execs not backing party nominees. So that is a bacchanal, Wendell.
Well, it's not the party nominees, it's their nominees.
Opposition leader Kamala Prasad Besesa salutes Scouts as she arrives at the Napariman Southwest Scouts District Bollywood Night Extravaganza annual gala dinner at the Achievers Banquet Hall in San Fernando on Saturday. That's the other photograph on the front page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. But Wendell will keep his hand on the pulse of the bacchanal taking place in Laventil West. So we'll update you all as to what is happening there. The main story in the back page for sports: Seals helps restrict Bangladesh. And tough draw. Tottenham Hotspur's Son Heung-min left, and Fulham's Issa Diop in action during an English Premier League football match at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, London, yesterday. The match ended 1-1 in a draw. The front and back pages this morning. Over back to you, Paul.
Let's move to the news day now. Girls run away during trip to movies. Oil workers march on the 6th anniversary of petrol closure. Analyst, UNC will use SRC report against PNM in election campaign. Police shoot at homeless man. Woman hit by car. A woman's car hit by stray bullets. Fire destroys Barrackpore home. Auditor General scolds PTSC. 850 million not properly accounted for. Boy 16 stabbed in San Fernando. Ember, Trinidad and Tobago on the road to Financial Action Task Force compliance. Beetham residents Hines disconnected from community. Senators concerned about abuse of power and crime. PM Dragon Field exploration begins. PM hold talks with US officials. Ember, TTRA fully operational by March. And Pandey, that's Makila Pandey, UNC missed opportunity to campaign on finance reform. So those are trending stories in your Express, Guardian, and Newsday for today, December 2nd.
You know what would be interesting? An interesting poll? That story, that headline you just read there, Paul, about the UNC using the SRC report against the government, against the PNM. How could they, when they are beneficiaries of it, unless they're planning to collect the checks and tear it up in front of the public and say, we don't want this. We don't want a cent from this. Is that what they're planning to do? Because I don't see how we're going to work.
No, they could raise it. They could raise it as an issue that it's not the correct time, even though they're beneficiaries.
But they've already done so. But how is it to be used in a campaign?
Yeah, but I mean, they can still use it as part of their campaign talking points for 2025 general election.
So it had to be a public tearing up of the checks, like how they tear up the 2020 document or whatever it was.
They don't get checks, Wendell.
Well, however it works. Well, yeah, it had to be a public rejection of the money. Gather all the money in a room, like maybe we had pictures of them have money in the trunk and kind of thing and in a room already. Gather all of it in one room, cash it, put it in one room and burn it. It had to be that. No. How is it going to reject that? How is it going to use that against the PNM?
On the platform.
If I got all of them getting a raise too.
What you mean on the platform saying that, this was an irresponsible move by the government in a time where you could only give 4% to unions and people are suffering on the ground, you're taking part of that kind of trajectory, that is how they were doing. I'll just give you an example there.
I was trying to provoke that. Thank you, Richard Ragoobarsingh.
What I don't understand is, why is that news? Because obviously they're going to bring that up. So that's why I find astonishing. Why is that even a news item? Because obviously it's something they're going to raise on the platform. That's what I find curious. You expected them to.
Dr. Rowley must be put on his special Christmas pajamas and roll over when you read that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's obviously something that they will raise. You will raise all manner of issues on the platform.
All right, let's get a result.
As Mr. Grant said, hypocrisy is at its best. We're gonna get with those say just now. Hey boy, you go get wet down, you're walking. Yeah.
All right, let's get the results of our morning poll from Friday, where we asked you, do you have an issue with Vibes Cartel performing in Trinidad and Tobago on Carnival Friday? That was our poll. It's dead. 50-50. 50-50.
You mean it's a dead heat?
It's dead heat. 50-50.
Not dead.
It's a dead heat. All right, so there you go. I don't have a problem with that. All right, so let's let's come up with this morning's poll. Holy cow.
Paul, you're silent. You're muted.
You're on Raymond just now, so I thought we have a poll.
Also, every time we talk and you're not involved in it, we ranting and raving.
Basically. Yeah. Why would
The
you say
Caesar issue. That's one thing that you were discussing this morning. You have the issue with Joe Biden. That's another possible poll. And you have
That Joe
international
Biden
poll.
poll might be the best one. Do you think it's
That-
an abuse of power by the president of the United States to pardon his son? We can ask that. But we have a lot of international listeners too,
Yeah, you have a lot of
and
American,
voters.
so you
Yeah.
can give them a chance to vote this morning.
Yeah, let's do that.
what is the poll, Wendell?
Do you believe it's an abuse of power by the president of the United States to pardon his son?
Right. 222-8255. North Americans, toll free. 866-525-1099. You can WhatsApp yes or no. Love to hear where you messaging us from at 318-1021. All right, of course, on Facebook and on YouTube. We got a call already, so let's, here we go. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Richard, could you advise Wendell that burning Trinidad and Tobago currency in Trinidad is against the law? I hope that is not advocating that the UNC do.
You really take me seriously, there, man? To make a call like that?
All right, morning, Paul. Do you think that Joe Biden's pardon of his son, Hunter Biden, was an abuse of power? Yes or no?
Poll this morning. Do you think that Joe Biden's pardon of his son Hunter Biden was an abuse of power? 222 talk 222-8255. North Americans 866-510-99. People on the streaming platforms, you can send your votes via the messaging portal there. If you're watching us on M&E TV or listening to us on smart devices, WhatsApp us at 868-318-1021. 318
Marshall Rock says no. Boswell John, no. Anthony Franco, no. Lester Craigwell, no. Salim Abdullah, morning Salim, from Valley Stream, New York, no. CJ out in New York, no. Good morning, Dave Goes Sign. Trinidad Margot says no. Tone Luke says yeah. Okay. Let's see. We got Captain Ron saying no. Aria Lashley. Okay, now vote. Roger Seawing says no. Alistair Hart, yes. Good morning, Sankofa. Morning, David Nelson. Vincent in the UK, good morning. Good morning, caller.
Morning, gentlemen. Tony Grandino.
Thank you. Good morning, GNC Auto Security. Let's see. Wayne Bennett, no. Rena Boodoo Jennings, no. Ingrid Adams, no. Mika Ray, big fat yes. Okay. Did I miss anybody here? Dave Goes Sign said yes. Rennie Devines, no. Do you think that outgoing president of the U.S., Joe Biden, part of his son Hunter Biden, was an abuse of power? Yes or no? All right. Check in here. No. All right. Ready to Veens. Right. All right. Yes or no? Let us know where you're messaging us from as well. Do you think that Joe Biden's pardon of his son Hunter Biden was an abuse of power? Yes or no? Okay. On WhatsApp, I have David Nelson saying yes. I have somebody else saying no. I don't know who's it from. Put your name next to it so we know. All right. Let's see. Nothing there. All right. Let's go back here. Una Antoine, good morning. Okay. Derek Downing from Brooklyn, New York says no. All right. Wayne Joseph out in Ontario, Canada, says no. All right, let's get into our 7 o'clock major news, shall we? It's exactly 7 o'clock on this, the second day of December. AVSN.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
The UNC picks 3 candidates for marginal seats. Meanwhile, the PNM reportedly begins screening for election candidates today. Northwest Doctors Association reportedly petitioning for better salaries and working conditions. Court meeting postponed due to an alleged disturbance from members of a rival organization. PAHO campaigns to put human rights at the forefront of efforts to end the HIV epidemic, and U.S. President Joe Biden issues full and unconditional pardon for Son Hunter. Details in a moment. This is news at 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Afro Cynthia Bab. Good morning. Former Naparima College principal Dr. Michael Dowlath has been chosen by the United National Congress to contest the San Fernando West seat after the party started off its screening on Friday. Speaking with the media on Sunday, he said he's looking forward to working in the constituency with the executive in dealing with the issues and moving forward positively. Faris Al-Rawi is the member of parliament for San Fernando West. Party leader Kamala Prasad Basasa also announced that incumbent MPs for Barataria San Juan and Chaguanas East, Saddam Hussein and Vandana Mohit, were again selected to contest those seats. Prasad Basasa said Dowlath, Hussein and Mohit were chosen for what she described as 3 so-called marginal seats. Dowlath was chosen over other nominees for San Fernando West, including Senator Jayanti Lakshmidiyal Ramdial and UNC's Marabella West Councillor John Alibokas, also called Macmillan. In Barataria San Juan, Hussein, who won in 2020, will be fighting the PNM's Dr. Mohammed Ibrahim, Senate Vice President. For Chaguanas East, Mohit will go up against the PNM's Rishi Sukai, Minister in the Ministry of Works. Meanwhile, media reports say that the PNM will start its screening of prospective candidates for 15 held constituencies this evening. Laventille West will be the first area screened. It said the screening will be done in 6 batches from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The United Kingdom-based Privy Council will today begin to hear submissions in the final appeal over a lawsuit brought by former Chief Magistrate Marcia Ayres Caesar over her short-lived judicial appointment. UK Supreme Court President Lord Robert Reid is expected to chair the 5-member appeal panel that will preside over the matter, in which the Judicial and Legal Service Commission and Chief Justice Ivor Archie are claiming that the local Court of Appeal got it wrong when it upheld her case in October last year. The appeal will commence at the UK Supreme Court building 11 a.m. UK time, 7 a.m. local time, and will continue on Tuesday morning. Ayres Caesar was appointed a High Court judge in April 2017, but 2 weeks later, she resigned from the post amid public criticism over almost 50 cases she had left unfinished when she took up the promotion. Ayres Caesar then filed the lawsuit in which she claimed that she was pressured by Archie and the JLSC into resigning under the threat that her appointment would be revoked. She claimed that a press release announcing her resignation was prepared by the judiciary staff before she met with Archie to discuss the situation, and that she did not have any input. She also contended that former President Anthony Carmona, who's also a former High Court judge, refused to intervene after she informed him of Archie and the JLSC's conduct. Archie said the JLSC denied any wrongdoing and claimed that Ayres Caesar failed to disclose the full extent of her unfinished caseload was sufficiently serious to warrant a disciplinary inquiry. Archie had claimed that he had suggested resigning and returning as a magistrate to complete the cases, but maintained that he did not pressure or threaten her. He also claimed that neither he nor the JLSC had the power to take the action attributed to them by Ayres Caesar. They contended that Ayres Caesar accepted responsibility and freely tendered her resignation with the intention at the time to return as a magistrate to complete the part-heard cases. The Oilfield Workers Trade Union says it will intensify protest action until the Petrotrin Refinery returns to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. This from OWTU President General Ansel Roger, who said the refinery and the assets of Petrotrin belong to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Speaking on Saturday at the Point-a-Pair roundabout in recognition of the 6th anniversary of Petrotrin's closure, Roger said he believed the closure of Petrotrin affected more than the 5,000 employees who were laid off. This decision to shut down the refinery, he added, would continue to affect the country till today. He said the union was now prepared to take to the streets. Roger maintained the closure of Petrotrin on November 30th, 2018 was the greatest crime committed against the workers, people of South Trinidad, and all citizens. The Northwest Doctors Association is reportedly petitioning for better salaries and working conditions. The doctors claim the last increase was in 2015. So far, it's reported the petition has over 1,300 signatures. NDA is a registered non-governmental organization. The 34th annual meeting of the Copyright Music Organization of Trinidad and Tobago has been postponed due to an alleged disturbance from members of a rival organization. The meeting was scheduled for 5 p.m. at the National Library and Information System Authority headquarters in Port of Spain. At the session, members of the organization were expected to vote on a new board of directors. However, it was revealed that the decision to adjourn the meeting was taken by the chairperson after COT's CEO requested to leave the meeting out of an abundance of caution and with the utmost concern for the safety and well-being of members and employees present. It's said that several members had expressed their disagreement with the COT Board of Directors guidelines that were circulated to members 21 days before the meeting. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. The Pan American Health Organization is campaigning to put human rights at the forefront of efforts to end the HIV pandemic. On Sunday, the globe celebrated World AIDS Day on December 1st. The observance was first started on December 1st, 1988 by two public information officers from the World Health Organization as an international day to raise awareness about HIV and AIDS. PAHO is urging global communities to act decisively as countries work towards ending the pandemic. According to a 2023 UN AIDS report, there were 39.9 million people living with HIV worldwide, and 86% knew their status. Also in 2023, 1.3 million people made up new infections, and approximately 630,000 people died from AIDS-related illnesses. Further afield, United States President Joe Biden has issued an official pardon for his son Hunter, who was set to face sentencing this month on federal felony gun and tax convictions. Biden had previously said that he would not pardon his son or commute his sentence. However, on Sunday evening, he said although he believed in the justice system, politics has infected this process and led to a miscarriage of justice. Well, finally, here's weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago, generally sunny and breezy conditions despite brief shower interruptions. Nighttime will be fair, partly cloudy at times with isolated showers. Please note winds can gust at times, especially in the vicinity of showers. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of 32 degrees Celsius, both at Piarco International Airport and Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it is 26 degrees Celsius at both localities. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, the UNC picks 3 candidates for marginal seats. Meanwhile, the PNM reportedly begins screening for election candidates today. Northwest Doctors Association reportedly petitioning for better salaries and working conditions. COT meeting postponed due to an alleged disturbance from members of a rival organization. PAHO campaigns to put human rights at the forefront of efforts to end the HIV epidemic. And U.S. President Joe Biden issues full and conditional pardon for son Hunter. I'm Avril Sindhilbab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Alrighty, thank you, Avril, for our major news. You could join her again come 8 o'clock for our news brief. All right. On the highways and the byways, I got some accidents to tell you about. That accident in Digo Martin, that is certainly creating quite a backlog on both Digo Martin Main Road and Moncoko Road. All right, it's just after Crystal Stream heading south, come out at Digo Martin. There is another accident on the Churchill Roosevelt Highway, westbound, and this is by Val Park. All right, it's in here of Val Park. So take your time on the roads. I'm just heading east a little bit. Nothing there. North, south, how you looking? Got nothing to tell you about. Let's see. No, nothing really to tell you about at this time. So there you go. All right. Oh, I do have one. And it is northbound by Naprima Mayara Road. Yeah. Like Palmyra Village. That is also creating quite a pileup. So there you go, traffic-wise. Getting back to our morning poll, where we asked you, do you think that Joe Biden's pardon of his son Hunter Biden was an abuse of power? Let's see. We got some votes here. Ray Garcia from New York says no. David Ware says yes. Esther Adams says no. Slick Money Grip says no. Hector, no. Josie Richardson, yes. Morning to you. Beauty Culture, yes. Cole Lit Finch says yes. Michael Gradison says yes. Okay, so traffic is cleared up by Diego Martin. Great, thanks, David. Anthony Miguel says no. Reggie from Long Island says no. And somebody else is saying, Miss Ingrid says no to the poll. And that's the votes. A lot of votes came in during our newscast. So the results.
So a poll this morning, do you think that Joe Biden's pardon of abuse of power? That's our poll. We're making our poll a little international this morning. This Monday morning. So we had 33 people voting on the poll this morning. 3 people, 23 of you said no, you didn't think it was an abuse of power. 10 saying yes, 23 saying no, so the nays have it in terms of this portion of the voting. But of course, you can continue to vote throughout the day through all programming, and we'll give you the final result tomorrow morning, where you'll get the final record of what people think of this particular issue. As I said, it's an international poll. So there it is, still on your screen. Do you think that President Joe Biden's pardon of his son Hunter Biden was an abuse of power? We'll give you the final results tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's how people voted.
Yeah. All right. So it is 13 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. Today as well is International Day for the Abolition of Slavery. All right. The 2nd of December, recognized by the UN.
Really?
Yeah.
Quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment at all. Yes, as Wendell was saying, there's a lot of local reaction to the Prime Minister's announcement last week that the Cabinet had approved the SRC's recommendation. And the Prime Minister was saying that anybody who wants to feel ashamed, that's them. People are working X, Y, and Z. But of course, the other side of that conversation is the Prime Minister's statements a couple of months ago.
Ban your belly.
Where he said, he never said ban your belly, yeah?
No, I said.
And he said he never said hold stream. Of course, people pull up all the videos before, a couple people keep videos.
Oh, Lord, yes.
All right. And they said a few minutes later, that the country was told it's going to be challenging times until 2027, when some of those oil prospects or gas prospects start to deliver on their potential. And that public servants or public officials, public service servants, were being offered 4% and 5%, while politicians were making in excess of 37 to 47% increases in their salaries. So the conversation is quite virile on social media. I think it's actually. You think it's going to be an election issue, Richard? As what's his name, Dr. Raghunath is saying that the UNC is potentially going to make it an election issue coming up, and how will they craft that?
The whole issue of the increase.
Mm-hmm.
increase
compared to the whole strain public sector workers getting X amount increase. While
of course, they're going to make it an issue, but that's why I said I don't know news item. Of course, they're going to make it an issue. It's one of the tools they're going to raise. It's one of the issues they're going to raise because there is a certain amount of traction on the ground with regard to the issue. Because all of the polls that you see when they interview people on television and stuff like that is that, okay, people saying it's not the appropriate time, people suffering, the
optics of it,
the unions marching and saying, oh, that this is inappropriate because of the 4%, and they were doing candlelight vigils outside the Prime Minister's office. If you're an opposition party, it's fodder for you. So of course you're going to utilize it. So that's why I'm saying I found it strange that it was a news item because I expected that it would raise it as an issue because they will believe it has a certain amount of traction in terms of voting and possible votes. Will it amount to that?
Well, it's a very
the electorate will decide.
Unstable. It's a very volatile IR situation in the country right now, with a lot of these outstanding negotiations still going on, people still working on very old salary positions.
Well, up to this morning in the newspapers, you have that the doctors are now raising an issue, the public sector doctors, and they said it started as if it started off from the Northwest Regional Health Authority, and they having a petition. The petition has over 1,300 signatures, according to one of the newspaper reports. I didn't realize they had over 1,300 doctors in the public health system.
I didn't know that.
But apparently they do. I didn't realize it was so much. And obviously there'll be more because this is just a portion of them signing. But according to this, the Northwest Doctors Association, public sector doctors from other regions are petitioning for better salaries and working conditions. A petition which is circulating online highlights deep concerns regarding what they say are ongoing issues surrounding working conditions, salaries, and the professional and personal welfare of doctors. There were over 1,300 signatures up till late last evening. Now, I don't know if that petition online is restricted to doctors, or if it is that anybody supports their cause then can sign the petition. I don't know.
One of the issues too, and I have said this over and over for a number of years, is the fact that if we had laws, as some other countries do, to ensure that these negotiations are completed in a timely manner, you understand? So that you're not negotiating for 2013 and 2024.
Yeah, it would be less of an issue.
It would be less of an issue. The increase and the strain on the national purse would be significantly less. But when you wait 10, 12 years to complete negotiations and they can't reach agreement, there's some countries that have laws that within 3 years of the negotiating period, you have to complete it, all right? Otherwise, there's a default percentage increase applied to the workers, So it's in the state's interest to complete it in a particular timely fashion. Otherwise, they will stop, they will do their calculation, international calculation, they benchmark the jobs and slap the increase on them. But in Trinidad and Tobago, when you let it roll on for 10, 12 years, the level of, one, it mightn't be the same economic environment you're in. You understand? So when you should have negotiated, oil and gas can be booming, and you should have been able to get X and Y, but now it's not. So you're saying, well, the time is not right, but you're not negotiating for now. You're negotiating for then. You understand?
Yeah.
And then the back pay issue that's commensurate with that also becomes onerous because then you've taken 10 and 12 years.
So who do you hold responsible for a situation like that? The CPO office or the unions?
The state.
Because a lot of people feel the unions delay the process because of whatever benefits they feel they may accrue if they do so, if they force their hand eventually.
Countries, Wendell, some of those countries, particular percentages applied, signed off on. So it's almost like it's partially or almost fully negotiated. Whether or not people agree with 3 or 5%, it wouldn't be lagging.
Mm-hmm.
You should come back and appeal it. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Some sort of finality has taken place under those in those jurisdictions. So in other words, okay, you can't reach agreement. I guess you go to the industrial court or whatever court it is, and they decide and they give a particular percentage, and that's applied whether the state agree or the unions agree, and they move forward. Because at the end of the day, in our environment, they almost never agree. Because if you keep having these protracted or delayed negotiations, it exacerbates the problem. You know,
I mean, to a large degree, a lot of it rests with the CPO. Ways the CPO's team negotiates with a lot of those unions. The SRC, of course, is a specific appointed body that deals with it, but the CPO also sits on the SRC. And,
you know, another confusing thing.
Then you have the HRAC, the Human Resource Advisory Committee, which deals with another level of public sector wages. So it's which is the one that often is negotiated with the CPO. The CPO makes the recommendation, and the institution makes their recommendations, and that HRAC decides. You have those multiple avenues of getting things settled, but the CPO is always part of it.
Can the CPO make a recommendation without the acquiescence of the Minister of Finance?
No.
Exactly. That's my point. For example, this confusing I heard last week. On one hand, Minister Imber said he cannot get involved in UWI's ongoing dispute between WIGAT and UWI's management, right? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
And a couple of days later, the Prime Minister says he wants him to get more directly involved.
Well, he gave him instructions to fix it.
You understand? So I mean, the conflicting information is always so confusing.
Yeah. It almost came across as if it was a rebuff of the Minister of Finance in a kind of way.
From the Prime Minister,
from the Prime Minister.
I cannot get involved. The state is already, because UWI can't afford its bills by itself. So the state already has to subsidize UWI, paying for its operations, including administrators and lecturers' wages, right? Agreed? So Minister Imber's position was they have to negotiate WIGAT and management, and then they'll see what, because the state is already paying a lot of what UWI, they draw down from UWI. And then the Prime Minister comes some days later and tell them to get directly involved and solve it. So, I mean, really. And I find don't know what right I'm doing.
I find it more sound like the Prime Minister getting fed up of the nonsense sometimes and feels that he needs to. Well, he shouldn't have to be stepping in, but he did. You know what I mean? That's how he's come across, you know. Oh God, what the hell going on? Why they can't fix this? Look, do this. Do that. That's how he's come across.
So then what is the Minister of Finance's position now? Go and say, well, we got asking for X amount. UWI can't say they can't afford it. So is that at the end of the day, if the universities to acquiesce to at least part of what WIGAT is asking for, who will they get?
But look at a similar thing happened just the other day with the pilots, remember?
Yeah, we got
and the Minister of Finance stepped in and fixed that,
Well, he's the new CPO then.
Well, clearly, Corporation Soul has more powers than we think he has.
Corporation Soul has the money.
Yeah, that's what, who has the money calls the.
Soul has the money.
Well, yeah.
Corporation
who has
Soul,
the money choreographs the dance.
Corporation Soul can say, okay, this money going here, that money going there. Yeah. And it will also be interesting to see, because the Prime Minister said that the Cabinet had decided to approve the SRC's recommendations, but what's left is how it will be operationalized, how it will come into actuality.
But he, says by
to see.
memo from the Minister of Finance.
Yeah. And when that button is pressed, it'll be interesting to see what the position of the opposition is, because they said they're not in favor of it. So is it that you leave any money in the bank?
But 3 UN.
3. Richard stuck again.
Mm-hmm.
No, I said 3 of the UNC MPs said they would give away their money.
But that's 3. But that's not the position of the UNC overall.
No.
Which,
Well, we don't know. We don't know.
Which UNC MP said they will give away the money?
In any case, Paul, all of this is going to start to get cloudy as you move into a general election here. All of this is going to start to get cloudy.
Very much so.
By the time the general election come around, everybody don't collect their back pay.
Exactly. Your back pay is already in your account, Wendell.
Exactly. And not a peep, not a murmur will be heard from anybody.
And then you go into an election, and the election is done, and whoever is in power, and the country moves on.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's why I say hypocrisy don't sway me again. Huh? It affects me, but it doesn't sway me anymore. No?
So who do you think will get the nod in Laventille West, Wendell?
Well,
it's a bacchanal, Paul. It's a bacchanal, because apparently there's a lot of infighting taking place in the PNM concerning what is going to happen in Laventille West.
Well, I don't know.
I tried to push a PNM back.
But we have plenty bacchanal to push coming up, Richard. You feel like going and back out to the PNM bacchanal? No.
So,
but you're right.
Is it that Kareem Marcel has the nod?
No, he can't. No, he does not have the nod.
I should say the edge, sorry.
The edge. He probably
I think they're going to screening today.
He probably has the edge, but I think there's another doctor. What was his name? Jessedy or something? What's his name?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There was another person, a female,
a young doctor,
who was part of the selectees, the nominees. So it's between both of them, I guess, unless now they could both be rejected, and the constituency be sent back to find a new candidate. That can happen.
Or an old candidate.
Yes. Oh, well, Fitzgerald has already confirmed that he is not contesting. Right? Well, I don't know that he will jump back in that race. I think I'm not too sure that he's the type of person to jump back and say, okay, all right.
Do you think there are others? I'm not asking you if they should. Mm-hmm. I'm asking if there are others who would decide I'm not going up again.
Yes, I suspect. I
think so too.
I think Minister Hines has opened that door for others to say.
Kind of changing of the guard in at least 3 constituencies.
Yeah. And I called them last week, didn't I? I called them.
What is this? I keep hearing a lot of talk.
I mentioned Aruka Maloney, where Camille Robinson-Regis has also been a long-standing MP.
He thinks should. That's not who would.
Yeah, not who would. I think should.
I keep hearing crosstalk in the chamber.
Mm.
I kept hearing crosstalk in the chamber on Tuesday and Friday about San Fernando East. What's that about? And Colmember's seat. What are those?
Well, Colmember need to go. It ain't no crosstalk about Colmember's seat. Colmember need to go. He's had enough.
But I don't know that Minister Imber said he's not going back up.
I know that he has not. Well, he did in years ago in an article. He said at age 65 you should not be in politics anymore. He said that. Okay, I sent you all that article the other day. Right? He said that. He is now 67 going on 68. So he has already gone past what he said he will go past. Right? So he needs to go. That's one. Camille Robinson-Regis.
Vengeance there, boy.
Yeah.
Vengeance
he has vengeance for weeks now with that, Richard.
Weeks. You're not saying it calmly, or you're saying it
very, very vociferous. Very, very
vociferous. Let me tell you something. I will never be a passive colored tongue PNM. Never, ever be. Okay? Never, ever be.
That?
Okay? I will never be a passive PNM. Never.
But okay? You said just now. You said something about tongue.
Yeah. Ignore that. But let me tell you something else. Let me tell you something. I like Camille Robinson-Regis. I think she's an excellent minister. I think she's an excellent MP. But I also believe she has served long and hard, and it's time to give it to someone. I don't think, though, this is my honest opinion, the person who's challenged her is the former MP, Alicia Hospitales. I don't think she is from that, how I should put it. That constituency is PNM's the most votes ever come from that constituency. I don't know
Then
that.
why would you want someone
Let me
who's
finish now.
able to amass the most votes in a PNM constituency to move?
No, oh gosh, the constituency provides that, not the person. Because Alicia Hospitales was also the MP under Patrick Manning, right? 2007 to 2010, and then 2010 to 2015, right? But Alicia is a very nice person, very docile. Aruka Maloney needs a young, vibrant people, and they have the chairman of the Tunapuna Piako region. They have other people in the area who could do, I think, a fantastic job in to replace Camille Robinson Regis. That's my opinion. I think they have quite a bit of young people up in that area who could do that. So what?
Are you turning up the party so this morning?
No, I given my opinion. You ask my opinion, I'm giving it. When I start on the UNC, I hope they don't stop me. You know? Because I will start on a whole set of them who have charges before the court and all kind of manner issues going and put their hand in hand.
I heard that Rushton Parry is going up as an independent if not selected by the UNC for, is it Mayaro?
Mm-hmm. He can split that vote and
do you think he can win and or split the vote?
No, he will split the vote for sure. He will split the vote for sure. Yeah, he will split the vote. Rushton Parry is extremely.
Do you think he can win as an independent?
No. Independent candidates can't win anywhere.
Jack Warner won.
Jack Warner formed a party. He formed a party and he formed a party, whether you like it or not. He went up under, he didn't go up as Jack Warner, the independent, you know. He went up as Jack Warner from the ILP. And he had the same mayor, the man who's Mayor Shaguanas and all of them with him at the time. If you remember, he had Christian Nuwalo Hussein, who is a candidate now for, I think, is a Rima or Komuto Manzanella for the UNC. He had all of them with him at the time.
Is NTA. She's not UNC.
She's what?
NTA.
Christine Nuwalo?
Yeah.
Yes, she is. She's a candidate. No.
Oh, I seen her name back by the UNC, yeah? I tell all these people and all these parties coming together, you know. You could call NTA, NNV, ILP, call all of them going on the UNC for the 2025 elections. Mark my word. I think keep telling all of that and all, they're not listening. They hope. Dennise and them. Morning, Dennise. Dennise just messaged me now and then. Even all of them going with the UNC. All. Karen Nunes, Tishera, Timothy Hamill-Smith, Gary Griffith. What's the next one who always shouting and carrying on? Philip Alexander. I sort of like to call his name. You know, all of them. Every man jack going and follow the UNC this election. Everybody. Wada Abubakar, who making a set of row every now and then. All of them going with the UNC. All. None of them are pulling me.
In a real sense, man, this is an actual question. And this is with the greatest respect, including Makila Pandey. How much political capital do any of them have?
Oh, I'm glad you remind me of her. I'm glad it's not about political, nothing. I tell all you this story many times. A guy called Gavin Nicholas. He used to be a PNM councillor in the Diego Martin region. He fell out with Miss Coleman Bird, just like most people do. He fell out with Coleman Bird and he left the party. Eventually, he showed up. He launched a party. I remember I was sitting in City Council and I saw this letter come for permission to use Mandela Park for the launch of a political party. Gavin Nicholas, MND, Movement for National Development. Something so he called his party. MND, I remember that MND. And he had the launch. I swear, I passed by Mandela Park to see the launch. It had about 10 people there under a tent. Right? 10 people under the tent. 9 of whom may have been Gavin's family. Gavin Nicholas used that party, joined with the People's Partnership in 2010, immediately became the press secretary to the Prime Minister, right? Kamla Prasad Bisesa. He was chairing all the press conferences. Eventually, he was shipped to London to be the ambassador in London, Gavin Nicholas, and then came back here when they fire Anand Ramlogan to become the country's Attorney General with 10 people wrong a tent in Mandela Park, you can tell me about none of these people have nothing to offer? They have a lot to offer. They have a lot to offer, and they know that.
So what are you saying? Are you saying that their advocacy, potentially on behalf of the UNC, can bring votes to the UNC in the election?
Well, it wouldn't just bring votes. It will bring attention to the political leader of the UNC that all of us are one. We are all together, which she used last time successfully to campaign with.
Well, I don't think it's the same thing. It can be the same thing this time around because of how that amalgamation broke apart midstream.
Brother man, Trinidadians, we just forget fast.
We will forget that. Forget with you and Stephen?
Well, I don't forget. But I read in comments of people who I know are supporters of the PNM. I know them. And I read in how they say, "Boy, we ain't voting again, not me." All they vex about is this increase that Dr. Rowley decided he accepted. That's all the discussion I read in over the last few days. They are so pissed over it and chained up over it that they say they're going to vote for the UNC, but they're not voting. And that's where the PNM loses all the time.
So what are you saying? Are you saying the level of potential disaffection is what is growing? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. It feels. I mean, I've been campaigning for the PNM for a long time. I campaigned. We had 5 elections straight in.
The last significant defeat the PNM got, there was a level of disaffection with Mr. Manning, particularly in light of the Cold Heart issue.
Yes.
And Mr. Manning's refusal to effectively deal with those Cold Heart issues, and also my understanding of the potential, if it's true, palace coup that was being planned at the time in the House. Would that be correct?
Yes.
So there was disaffection outside and there was disaffection inside. Right? Is that the case now?
I think there are similar signs. I'm not saying it as
disaffection inside.
Yes. I'm saying that. There is disaffection.
At that time, Mr. Manning was under some serious pressure internally,
Yes. People message me,
Just that he wasn't sure going into the House of Representatives if there would be a vote of no confidence against his leadership.
I remember that. I remember that well. And I remember...
And that's why he called it an election.
Right. I remember when Mr. Manning signaled about an early election. We thought at the convention that day that it was local election he was going to call. Remember, local election didn't call for 4 years. We thought that was the election he was going to go with. He was going to test the ground with that election. But lo and behold, no, it was a general election. But
remember, isn't that the election where the People's Partnership got 29 seats?
Yes.
And to get 29 seats at that time, it would mean there was significant national disaffection.
Yes. We lost seats that you never thought that we would lose. I remember the night I going up home. Well, that night had a blackout here in St. James while we were here, right? Waiting. But I mean, our candidate at the time, Marlene McDonald, we had a safe seat per se. But no seat was safe when you realize how the vote was going, right? But we were okay, and then there was a blackout, and I left to go up home. And I went up home, and I just got this awful feeling come over me, and I got up in the morning, and I remember my wife waking me up, and she say, you know what happened? I say, what you mean? She say, PNM even lost Arima. I say, what? No, I'm thinking that was impossible at the time. I'm thinking it was impossible for Annie Roberts to be guaranteed.
When Roger Samuel won.
Yes. And it was impossible, in my opinion, for Annie Roberts to beat Karen Nunes Teixeira. And it happened. Neil Pastor.
Remember too, at that time, Mr. Manning and Dr. Rowley were publicly going at each other. Inside the House. Remember Mr. Manning's speech in the House where he literally went to Dr. Rowley
Mhm.
and the bully in the China shops comment and all
Yes.
that.
So we don't tolerate bullying in school and we won't tolerate it in the
So
cabinet.
that there was an internal battle and then there was external disaffection. I
Right.
don't know that there's that level of internal battle in the PNM now. I don't see it.
Well, it's not as open as that one was. It's not as open as that one was. Let's put it that way.
Well,
I mean, I'm not.
there probably be some level of disaffection because you have the seeming anointment of or anointing by the Prime Minister, seeming vis-a-vis Tom Imber, and so I'm assuming that the Minister of Finance is not a happy camper with regard to the very public anointing of Stuart Young as the acting Prime Minister. Even though people say, "Oh, the Prime Minister has the power," we know he does. But everything in politics matters because it's intentional.
And Dr. Rowley is consistent and very focused in his choices, and he's never been the kind of person to leave X, Y, and Z acting. It was always Carnival for the first 5 years.
Let me jump in here 1 second, guys. And it refers to what how Richard is going from one angle. Richard, you need to take what you're saying from the other angle. It's not so much a public anointing of Stuart Young, that is taking place, It is the public stripping of that anointing of Carnival that took place for 9 consecutive years. Without fail. Dr. Rowley always appointed one person to act as his Prime Minister. Right? He was very consistent with that. Good? And so for the first reason that came out was about budget. I didn't buy it. A lot of people bought it. I didn't buy it. Because I saw signs. And I told you all, I reminded you all about that meeting where he publicly berated him at a conversation with the Prime Minister, which is something Dr. Rowley really doesn't do. You understand? Dr. Rowley is very tolerant, Well, publicly, right? And the fact that he publicly berated him that day, I said, there's something going on there. I didn't vocalize it at the time, but now it's kind of very obvious. You understand? It's kind of very obvious now where the continuous appointing of Stuart Young. You may see it as an anointing of Stuart Young. I don't. I see it as a disaffection with the person who I had preferred all these years. That's how I see it.
And how
for the public watching on, it must look as if you're passing because has given a narrative that he is on his way out. He's given that narrative.
Yeah.
And here you are anointing somebody new from your usual trajectory. You're now appointing somebody new who is and whom it seems as if you're passing the mantle to. This is the person who is being at the forefront of the negotiations of the energy industry for a while. You've trusted him with that major aspect of the economy of Trinidad and Tobago and the negotiating skills, which you are often part of.
Isn't it also succession planning?
It's a tangible anointing, Wendell.
Isn't it also succession planning? Because when you think about it, Colin is like 7 years younger than Dr. Rowley now.
But the PNM doesn't work that way. The PNM doesn't work that way, which is why he was getting pushback from old stalwarts in the PNM, Freddie Ferreira, LeHunt and Jennifer. The PNM doesn't work that way.
For not calling the annual meeting, right?
Yeah, the PNM doesn't work that way. The PNM doesn't anoint someone. The leader is selected through the party membership. So that's why he got pushed back there. But we're not saying that he is being proactive in actually identifying a possible leader. I have no problem with that, I have no problem with Stuart Young. Stuart Young and I are very good. But you see, once you do that openly right? And it comes after you announcing that you may you're looking to step down. That thank you, madam. You know the farewell kind of speeches. The PNM does not operate that way, and the pushback came. And the pushback created divisions that you don't need, especially when you go when the public had to go back to that the people's partnership. We see that, we experience that, we hear that, we heard that.
Yeah, we
We
have phone.
and we going back. You on the phone now, start on the people's partnership.
No, I'm just saying while we are talking, we could.
Right, you know the numbers.
Oh,
Right.
Jesus.
What Mr. Zara is saying here, maybe Mr. Minister Emmett doesn't want it. Maybe he doesn't want to act.
Maybe he is also preparing to leave. You might be right. And say, leave me alone. Leave me. Let me enjoy my
Why
last few
would you
days.
pass the baton to somebody who's almost your age?
Who?
Ember's like 7 years younger than Dr. Rowley.
Yeah, that was it. No, the baton wasn't going to him, but whether he was passing it or not, I was running between and grabbing that baton, throwing it out.
Power is intoxicating. So
Telling me.
it's hard to believe.
No kidding.
Believe that the Minister of Finance would have a conversation with the Prime Minister and say, don't bother to appoint me to act Prime Minister. I don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not seeing in which universe that conversation took place.
I'm not seeing it, especially in a universe with a planet like one, remember?
Yeah. We have a couple calls coming in, gentlemen. Good morning.
You hear that statement from Richard?
No, I didn't hear it. My internet kind of...
So they use that money to pay the 4% or pay all who have back pay, owing and stuff like that?
Yes.
Well, they could do that. And concerning the doctors who are looking for more pay, 99% of them, if you leave San Fernando General at 8, by 9 o'clock they buy Gulfview Med, and the others have some office somewhere. They don't work the full 8 hours.
Move to the front of the class.
I'm a up. They deserve that. They have to make sure they're in the hospital 8 hours. 2 hours.
Move to the front of the class.
That will never change.
First of all, they have the attendance records of doctors in the public sector.
Move to the front.
You, Dr. Richards, could you present the evidence, please? Or are you speculating? Yeah.
Let's
the
get
evidence, please. We have a responsible program. And when there be a responsible program.
Yes, we are.
Present the data set, please.
Present
the data set.
Police have a blue and gray wall. Try doctors.
Present the data set that indicates that doctors don't work their 8 hours.
As Paul would say, bring the evidence. Good morning, caller.
You are court close, I don't.
Quote the articles.
And let's get a call it.
Quote the investigative reports that indicate this, please.
Caller, morning.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Wow. Oh, Lord. Diego Martin was in the news for this weekend. Oh, Lord. Wow. Anyway, thank God the police caught that driver, and she's living right down in my area, Lord. And then we had a 91-year-old woman from our church got robbed Saturday coming from church, Lord. Well, yes. Anyway.
A 91-year-old lady?
Yes, what happened is I normally go to church on Saturday evenings to St. Michael's. And Saturday was my grandson's school bazaar, Diamond Vale School. So I went Sunday morning. And when I went Sunday morning, there's when I heard she and another lady was going home, and a gunman, I think, jumped out of some vehicle and robbed them. Oh, my God, I said...
But a 91-year-old woman would have left all her money at the church? Wherever she went?
No, what happened? Well, actually, from what I heard, because I want to go and talk with her later today, she... is the other lady who was with her handbag got because she was walking on the inside, and
I know there was something wrong with that story you was given.
Yeah, she was walking on the inside, and the other lady was more to the road. And the guy, he dealt with her, so he did. It was a quick snatch and grab, and so he didn't have a chance. But she was traumatized because seeing a gun But she wasn't robbed. It's just the both of them were walking home from church Saturday night.
All right.
So I will have to go and talk with her. But I normally drop her home because she lives on my way going, and you know, boy, it was something. These bandits, I hope they catch him. What? Oh gosh, look, I think that is it. Yes, I can't remember what I wanted to say.
All right. Thank
if it's
you.
anything, you all have a good day.
All the best.
Bye-bye.
Good morning, caller.
I want to know the Robin, 91-year-old, the only thing she going to church with is the tithe and leave it and come back.
Yeah. A friend of mine got robbed last week at their business, but they never reported it. So, all right, let's grab this call. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning. You know, one thing with UNC people, jump I jump through, no matter what the people say, what they do, you know, the voters just go out and vote for them. It's only PNM people that always have a problem. PNM people, some of them always have a problem. No matter what, look at what's going on in the UNC. Look at how much of them on trial, for the court. No matter what, they're sure about the 19th seat. All we're going on. If you know, if it was the PNM, the UNC, they take that, we're in position to take that pay rise. No matter what, we're going to vote for them. They're going to vote for them.
Caller, which is why I said earlier on, I was disturbed by some of the comments coming from known PNM people that they ain't voting. So they want the UNC, they want People's Partnership go back in power. That's what I want.
UNC don't give up the people. It's only PNM people. We always have a problem. They're sure about the 19th seat, though. They're sure about that. People always have a problem.
Well, to be fair to the UNC, the PNM has always articulated a position that they're not going into coalition with anybody else.
Richard, that has nothing to do with the votes.
But
Richard, that has nothing to do with the votes.
That has something to do with the ability to make inroads in UNC strongholds.
Okay.
Richard, that have nothing to do with the voting. It's only PNM people that always have a problem. And it's time to change and stop being stupid. Okay? You all have a blessed day.
I know that change will come in because, mind you, I might have a problem with one or two of the candidates. But guess what? When they select them, I'm going to campaign like normal, you know.
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Yes. I agree with what that female caller said just now. PNM people, I tell you, PNM people just amaze me. They always, I ain't like she, and I ain't like he, not the UNC. You see the 5 dissidents, and you see how they crawl back and, when he named Rambali, saying, oh, well, the Kamala Pasadbi says she's the leader still, and I'll support her. That's how they do it. PNM people. And if they want, as I told a friend yesterday, I said if they want to do what the Democrats did, they can go ahead. Because now, for me, I found my opinion, Dr. Rowley should have, well, as we just said just now, he said he accepted, but that doesn't mean he implemented it. But I feel he is going to implement it. And I am finding that is a very bad move at this time.
He didn't say he wasn't going to implement it.
Time to take an increase in nothing. Because I was expecting in the budget, we would have gotten an increase on our NIS. And then Dr. Rowley came with, and we had to tighten my belt and that and whatever. And I cannot see. You know what is my problem? I hope Dr. Rowley don't do it. What? As somebody was telling me, this is last hurrah. And who knows? He might accept it. So when he leaving with a good pension and whatever. You cannot say, and he put in it to Mr. Imbert, but I will hope Minister Imbert would not accept it because you can't tell the unions, you can't, it's UE, it's OW, all of them protesting. They can't
I don't know what is your misconception. You know, the Prime Minister has indicated that Cabinet has accepted the SRC.
In
his press conference, he said it was accepted. He said it was accepted, and he said it was accepted, and that all that is required now is for the Minister of Finance
Oh,
to
really?
implement
My
it via
God,
a memo.
oh my God. Oh, Richard, no. Anyway, yes, Minister, look, you
It's a
see that?
done deal, Miss
Thank
Henry.
you.
It's a done deal.
Well, if so, he making a very bad move
Well,
because
we'll find out.
cannot tell unions. And I remember it had a year, unions was marching, and you see that going in front of Prime Minister House. I remember they did that, and they lost that election. So, Dr. Rowley, if you ain't care, you're going out, and you're thinking, and you're in business if the PNM lose the election. So what? Say what? But this is not the time to take no increase when you're telling we tighten we belt are gone.
But who are the 3 UNC MPs who said they're not taking the money, Richard, or they donating the money?
I will have to read the article. It's in the Guardian, and let me just look at it quickly and see.
Good morning, caller.
Morning, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Hey, Captain Ron. Morning.
Hi, Captain Ron.
Hey, guys. You know, two things. First of all, I agree with Mr. Biden because the oncoming president, he wouldn't do it. And if I was in his position, I would leave my son to language there when I can do it. So I think it's not an abuse of power. Definitely not. All right. Also, I think PNM put a nail in their coffin by accepting that raise. It doesn't sound right. If I was them, especially when the opposition they came on and said, "Oh, they're not doing it," whether they meant it or not, they did the right thing by saying that, and people would look at that. I think PNM made it in order. You know, you guys get ready for work. Have a great day. Enjoy the week.
Yeah. Safe flying, Captain Ron.
Take your time in those skies out there.
And Wendell, now I'm in Miami. I'm now leaving here in about 2 hours from now. Heading up to New York. So if you were still here, I'd come and check you.
I'm back. No, I'm back in Trinidad.
I realize that. Y'all have a good one.
Yeah.
All right. All the best.
Right. Thank you.
When there's a pilot training, you just fly from the back seat.
Good morning.
All right, Wendell. It's the article is a little bit more sensational than the substance, but the 3 MPs identified are Rodney Charles, Dr. Ragbir,
Dissidents.
and who's the last? Dinesh Rambali.
Dissidents, man. Chat
In
them
other words, all they getting is back pay.
Yeah. No, well, Paul, they will get the raise between now and the election. They will get a little 8 months, 9 months pay increase.
Is 8 months election? Okay, all right. Election is August then.
It's dissidents. Well, I'm talking about when it's due. It's dissidents you're talking about, Richard. You don't call them MPs. That's former MPs.
That's a sensational article for nothing.
Good morning, caller.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning, sir.
Well, you had me hanging on there, and I was listening to Wendell. Wendell, you know, Rodney Charles used to be a PNM.
Yes.
Oh.
Russian parade too.
Yeah, well, I heard so, but I don't know enough details. You know, one of the disappointments I have over the years, and that's a reasonable time since I'm looking at politics, particularly in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't mind the banter and thing, you know, but I feel sometimes the politicians are so immature that they could get things done and it could be better for them overall, but they let the opportunities go by. And I'm talking about the dysfunctionality of the parliament. Because with all the banter, particularly when I look at the crime situation, we had opportunities to sit and at least do something for the people. And I think that if I had the opportunity, if I were leading the UNC, I would lead them to victory, because I would have them operating in a more pragmatic and practical way. So that you find, instead of rejecting, as always look at the crime talk situation, not that the president needed to tell them that that is the forum that those discussions should take place, you know. But having done so, they publicly rejected that opportunity. And now I look at them, the prime minister, the leader of the opposition, having some talks with some, I can't remember the name of the MP, the lawyer. and Saddam Hussein, and and they're talking about crime and what they should do and what they shouldn't do. And it's pitiful to look at that and say, but wait now, those are the types of discussions that you need to have in a parliament to advance the cause of the people, no matter what's the issue. And that doesn't take place at all. So the politics kind of static, because if the UNC perform better, the PNM will have to do better, and the politics will evolve into a place where you could have mature discussions in the parliament.
You preach there. You preach.
Well, yeah, but caller, the UNC perform better than they performed before. That is not going to happen.
You'll have a wonderful day. Be safe out there. It's Monday.
Hey, 8:05 already. I'm staying here. Now. What do you have?
It's 8:01, and I just want to say shame again on the Arima Borough Council for doing nothing to enhance the borough of Arima for Christmas decorations. I'm seeing Terrence Dial sing. I saw his video with regard to St. Joseph, and at least they're doing some lighting up and some element of the Christmas spirit in the St. Joseph district. I know last year there was a wonderful parang session in the park opposite the Santa Rosa RC Church. It was just so wonderful, and that was really as a result of the priest who is now left. So of course the incoming priest, I don't know if he couldn't care less. I don't know what's going on. I will back talk everybody. I don't care. But there's no lighting up taking place. So I don't know what the hell is happening in Arima, which has a huge Catholic-centric population.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have another program to get into.
Yeah, but this is important. So Arima Borough Council, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you. But have a fantastic day, people. Remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health.
All right. Remember to let go and let God. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. We chat with you tomorrow morning, bright and early at 6 o'clock. Let's get into our 8 o'clock news brief.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
It is time for your 8 o'clock update. I'm Avril Cynthia Bab. Good morning. A 16-year-old boy remains in serious condition at the San Fernando General Hospital after he was stabbed near the C3 shopping mall in Corinth on November 30th. Police reports indicate the boy was with a group of friends near the mall when they were approached by a group of people. The boy was pushed to the ground by one of the group's members and said he felt a pain to the back of his neck. He managed to escape and police were alerted. A woman, along with her 4 children, unwittingly found herself in the middle of a police shooting on November 30th. She and her children narrowly escaped injury after one of the bullets hit her vehicle during the incident. Around 12:20 p.m., police responded to a report of a man at the park near Sackville Street opposite the Ryson Road Fire Station throwing stones at people. Commanded to stop by police, the man turned his attention to the police officers, damaging one of them in the process. He was then shot by police. One of the bullets shattered the front left window of the woman's vehicle. However, she and her children were unharmed. Former Naparima College principal Dr. Michael Dowlath has been chosen by the United National Congress to contest the San Fernando West seat after the party started off its screening on Friday. Party leader Kamla Prasad Basasa also announced that incumbent MPs for Barataria San Juan and Chaguanas East Saddam Hussein and Vandana Mohit were again selected to contest those seats. Meanwhile, media reports say that the PNM will start its screening of prospective candidates for 15 held constituencies this evening. Laventille West will be the first area screened. Well, that was your update to 8 o'clock. Look out for news in full at 12 noon. I'm Avril Cynthia Bab. Good morning.
All right. It is 4 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock on this Monday, the second day of December. And let us welcome Kamiko Scott. Good morning.
Morning, Steve. How are you doing?
Not bad. You were frozen there for a minute. I was wondering if you were deep in thought.
No, it can't be so serious.
Okay.
It's Monday, but we're facing it with a positive attitude.
There you go.
No freezing allowed.
There you go. Yes, both them. All right. Have a good show.
Thank you so much, you guys. Good morning. Good morning, Power 102 listeners at home and abroad. I'm Kimiko Scott, and it's my pleasure to engage in today's Power conversation, having been invited by your usual host, Mrs. Dennise Demming. The numbers to contact to chat with us are 222-TALK, that's 222-8255. In the US and Canada, toll free, 866-525-1099. On WhatsApp, 868-318-1021. That's 868-318-1021. This morning, I get to talk to a colleague and friend, Dr. Alpha Obika. He's a lecturer coordinator of the Integrated Marketing Communication Program at the Caribbean School of Media and Communication, that is CARIMAC, based in Mona, Jamaica. That's the UE campus. His research interests are media and communication, policy studies, political economy of communications, cultural policy studies, as well as events and festival management. Hi, morning, Alpha.
Hi, good morning, Kimiko, and thanks again for inviting me, and good morning to all the listeners.
I think we put out this poster to kind of announce that we were going to have this conversation, and in there we were touching on a passion project for you, and that's actually an academic look at the start and current state of Carnival in Jamaica. Tell me a little bit about why that's a passion.
Okay, so I am a Trinidadian national working in the campus out in Jamaica, and having studied there at CARIMAC. All right, so that's a plug there for the Premier School of Media and Communication in the Caribbean. While being there and pursuing my studies, both bachelor's and undergraduate and a PhD, I was exposed to Jamaican culture, and Jamaica has a rich cultural heritage. Obviously, we are familiar with reggae and dancehall music, which I was very excited to immerse myself in and get that authentic experience. I was quite surprised, however, to to recognize that Jamaica also had a history of carnival. Um, Maybe not one as long as our history, being the home of carnival, but certainly one that the university campus itself played a significant role in bringing to Jamaica, and I was able to experience that for all my years of studies, and really recognize that wait, Jamaica, the land of reggae and dancehall, also has a carnival that is in some ways very indigenous, based on the University of the West Indies. But if you were to look back even further, that they also had a history of carnival celebrations by a different name, Junkanoo, that even predated emancipation. So this
Right.
piqued my interest. This really piqued my interest. And so, as a researcher and a scholar, a carnivalist, somebody who loves Trinidad and Tobago carnival to the core, I had to investigate what exactly is happening here in Jamaica. So that's how the research started.
And you touched on that Junkanoo idea there for a second, and I always think of it comparatively to maybe our Jab Molasi. That mass portrayal. Is it similar? Have you discovered what the connection is there?
Okay. So I have to say, first of all, I'm not a Junkanoo expert, but um, in my own investigation of the current iteration, the current version of the carnival, which tries to mirror our masquerade, right? The current carnival in Jamaica doesn't try to copy the traditional.
Right.
You would hear Jamaicans say, "Oh, that's foreign stuff." But when you really look closely at Junkanoo, which I have started to do, I see some direct connections I see some connections between some of the traditional characters from the Junkanoo that are almost very similar to our traditional mass. So it may not be practiced in the same way.
Yeah.
The traditions may have a slightly different origin in the sense of when they're practiced. So, for instance, Junkanoo tends to happen around the Christmas period. All right. Whilst our carnival, even the traditional mass, while some had its origin closer to the emancipation period, with the migration of the French planters um, into Trinidad and Tobago in the 1780s thereabout, you find that some of the celebrations started to shift towards the that period just before Ash Wednesday. Okay, so you saw a
Right.
shift there. So there are similarities. I'll give you one example. There's a character called Pitchy Patchy
Mm-hmm.
in Jamaica. That's a major character within the Junkanoo. That is very similar to the Peregrinade.
Okay,
Uh,
as in a storyteller, a bringer of the stories.
yes, but it's not necessarily that the Pitchy Patchy tells stories in the same way that the Peregrinade does in its own eloquent way. A tradition that has evolved over the time, but is still quite present within the carnival. Pitchy Patchy is one of those characters that that has remained um, visible within the Jamaican landscape, but the tradition itself is really, I don't want to say dying out, but it's in my time in Jamaica, I have not seen a Junkanoo celebration, and
Right.
you have to literally go and seek it out. So there's a bit of a problem with that kind of cultural preservation within Jamaica, and that is something that I have only just started to investigate.
But your main focus of study would actually be the modern conception. And when did that start? When
Okay,
are you seeing that that started?
okay. So whilst establishing that Jamaica had its own carnival tradition by a different name, which is an important point to establish, all right, which immediately dispels this notion that a carnival is it belongs to one country or the other. We acknowledge Trinidad and Tobago as the home, um, but Jamaica did have a tradition of carnival. However, you find that the modern celebration of carnival really started and was built around the beginning of the University of the West Indies, which started in Jamaica around 1948.
Mm-hmm.
And on record, in the university's record, the first celebration of carnival started in the 1954-55 academic year. So around February of 1955, that is
Right.
documented as the first official celebration of carnival in Jamaica, albeit on the campus amongst the student population, right? Which was very diverse.
Yeah.
Students from all of the Eastern Caribbean countries, places as well, Guyana, Belize, and international. Trinidad and Tobago students, of course, playing a
Yeah.
prominent role within that. But it was driven by that Eastern Caribbean tradition of carnival.
Having a
Yes, and the students not being able to go home to participate in the carnival decided to start their own celebration on the university campus in 1954-55. That period is cited as the beginning of the modern celebration.
and this would have been students organizing a mass parade um, with music around the ring road of campus. So just an
Yes,
internal UE, they were not going outside onto the streets. It was just an internal campus celebration.
yes. So it definitely started on the campus, and you found that A lot of students who were not previously exposed to the tradition became part of that tradition. A lot
Right.
of Jamaicans, which still made up the majority of the population, became exposed to the masquerade, all
Mm-hmm.
right, to the parade. But in addition to that, they also became exposed to the other elements, calypso, the steel pan, because you find that later in the 1950s, you had the beginnings of a steel orchestra on the campus,
Right.
one that still exists today, Panorhythm. All right. So you had the carnival queen competitions. So many of the elements of the carnival, though small, sought to mirror and were influenced by the celebrations in the Eastern Caribbean. So that is significant to note. And they tried to depict different themes, and that really was the start.
And from that university space, how did it enter into the streets? How did
Right.
it go from just university to out into the streets of Kingston?
Okay. So yeah, I noted the 1955 period, but UWI Carnival is stronger than ever because throughout the decades, for about 70 years, the carnival has taken place. It has grown um, much bigger. I don't want to use the word better, but certainly more commercially viable in the
Right.
sense that it gets immense support
And
from corporate
sponsorship.
Jamaica, a
Yeah.
lot of sponsorship. You're talking about an event that once the um, friends and family of the students, they heard of it, media would have heard about it, the creative industry would have heard about it. What you found is that every year for the celebration over the 70-year period, Jamaicans would flock to the campus to get that exposure, to hear that authentic uh, soca music
Mm-hmm.
from not just from Trinidad and Tobago. We're talking about a Caribbean experience, right? UWI itself being an experiment. One of the benefits of that experiment of integration is a celebration that in itself was a bit distinctive that hadn't taken place anywhere else,
Yeah.
right? So even from the creative industry, you had a band, a local band that was quite prominent in the 80s called Fab Five. They had a song called Ring Road Jam, and that became somewhat of an anthem. All right, still, it's almost like a rally cry for soca lovers who can't afford to go to Trinidad and Tobago for that cultural pilgrimage to come to the campus, all right, to get that experience of raw, authentic soca.
Right.
So the university has really played a significant role in exposing Jamaica. And once locals started to come and experience it, the creative industry started to talk about it. You had Byron Lee coming to the campus for many years to also experience it. Naturally, that would trickle into communities. It started, I must say, within the uptown,
Yeah.
the communities that had a higher socioeconomic bracket. Some of those well-to-do communities started their own celebrations.
So they would
One,
have a street parade in their gated community.
yes,
Ah,
yes.
right. Okay.
So you had a group called Orange Carnival, for instance, that
Mm-hmm.
started in the 1970s. In the late 1980s, there's another group called Oak Ridge Boys that was started by a prominent businessman in Jamaica called Michael Amar and his friends. When in 1988 Hurricane Gilbert struck, and early in 1989, snap election was called. So many of them knew that they had to stay to vote to do the responsible thing. They could not go to Carnival for the first time in over 10 years.
Right.
They decided, look, in 1989, we're starting our own Carnival. And Byron Lee, he observed the success, though it was still small scale,
Mm-hmm.
right? He observed that success, and in 1990, he started what became internationally known as Jamaica Carnival. And with that, um, he tried to utilize his extensive experience with soca, as well as he having traveled to many of the Caribbean countries to experience their carnival, sought to create a carnival that wasn't situated in uptown. He tried to
So
create something
it
that would
into
involve
to
the
the
people.
masses. Yeah,
Yes,
trying to get it really
yes,
into the hands of a wider population. And we're talking here, for those of you who are unsure if by chance you might be, of the leader of Byron Lee and the Dragonaires, the band leader and lead guitarist for that band, who would have been Jamaican by origin, but did music rooted in all throughout the Caribbean, was big in soca. We still play some of his songs today, and internationally. So he was the person partially responsible for planting the seed of the idea of getting mass in the streets to the name of Jamaica Carnival.
yes, certainly. And special mention must be made of the role that he played, because many of my fellow Trinidadians and listeners would know him as a prominent musician, all
Right.
right, and leader of the band. But in Jamaica, he was also a prominent businessman. And what he did is utilize his musical accolades, because he knew a lot of the calypsonians, the artists, the producers, the mass band leaders. He took a lot of that experience and collaborated with them to stage a carnival in Jamaica, but also utilized his own funds from his business, because he was from that uptown community. But he, having seen the power of carnival in Trinidad, especially, he wanted to get the people involved, and that's one of the dreams that he tried to implement. And he did have some success. However, he didn't really get full support of corporate Jamaica, and he also got very little government support. And that is confirmed through primary research conducted
Mm-hmm.
with his daughter, Julian Lee, who
Right.
is currently the leader of Jamaica Carnival. So, but his legacy lives on, and in many ways, uh, the strength of the carnival now that currently exists is down to his pioneering spirit and his belief in the power of carnival and culture to bring people together.
Yes. And we're on Power 102 talking on Power Conversations with Dr. Alpha Obika about Carnival in Jamaica. And you mentioned something there I wanted to highlight because I saw it in your presentation last week, and I was like, wait, somebody could own the name of something like Jamaica Carnival. I heard you say that that's actually a copyrighted tagline or trademark that is owned by Byron Lee's family now.
Yes, that is correct. So even the current carnival now that is
Mm-hmm.
doing very well commercially, um, multiple bands, and you're talking about thousands and upon thousands of participants, lots of events happening. You find that the name itself is Carnival in Jamaica, and the Jamaica Carnival brand is owned by uh, Byron Lee's family. Now, that was not his intention, and this is based on primary research conducted. That was not his intention. When he started the carnival celebration in 1990, he really tried to mirror that tripartite um, situation from Trinidad, where you have government and private sector, along with the creatives coming together to have something organic that is
Yeah.
available. It's not about just making money, right? However, because of the lack of support that he got year in, year out, he sought, in order to preserve the brand and the integrity of what he was trying to do, he copyrighted the name. And I would say rightfully so.
Yes.
In conversations with his daughter, Julian Lee, I am aware of the intention to hand it over and that there is negotiation that needs to take place. All right. But I think the legacy of Byron Lee and the role that he and his team played, it still needs to be documented. It really has not been um, cataloged in a way that would be available to the average Jamaican or carnival lover, for that matter of fact, to understand the role that he played. But I think part of the research that I intend to do, and I'm currently doing with my colleague Yvette Rowe, who is also a lecturer at Caramac in Jamaica, but also a veteran journalist who's worked with local and international media entities. We are actively trying to document what is currently existing because we find that academia and also media, they're ignoring the phenomenon. Carnival is growing exponentially in Jamaica. It is growing rapidly from 2016 to the current time. All right. I've seen that myself, having gone to many of the events and activities and seen the expansion of it. And this is after having worked with companies like uh, the Division of Culture in Trinidad on Carnival, having worked with National Action Cultural Committee and many of the other cultural groups of NGAC in Calypso, etc. I've been exposed and seen what growth in Carnival looks like. And in Jamaica,
it's
the
been
transformation was rapid.
And it continues to grow. So
And it
tell us
continues to grow.
what does that look like now? What is
Okay.
Carnival in the streets in Jamaica? When does it happen? A lot of Trinis may not know when it happens because it happens in a weird time too. Even the date could be offensive to some.
Yes, yes, yes. So I will get to the critique of it in a little bit. But let me just give listeners an example. When I returned to Jamaica to to continue my studies, 2013, had a serious banker, was missing Carnival, just like the origin of UB Carnival. So, but this time I was a resident advisor and an adjunct staff, a part-time staff member. So I couldn't go whining on the campus. That would be scandalous.
That doesn't look good.
Right.
Wouldn't be a good look.
So naturally, while still being a part of the carnival on the campus, I went out into Jamaica to experience what the country had to offer. And at the time, in 2013, there was only Bacchanal Jamaica. And
one
one
mass
band,
band.
one band, Bacchanal Jamaica. Michael Amar and his team, they were the last standing because Jamaica Carnival had not taken place since the death of Byron Lee, I believe somewhere around 2010. Well, I think it's really started, the decline started in 2008 with the global economic decline.
Right.
After that, there was only Bacchanal. And only their events, there was a mass camp in Kingston, and there were a few events that would take place.
And the mass camp was, of course, an event venue that hosts a lot of events.
Yes.
Right.
And what you found is that in 2015, I believe that's when the government changed. And by 2016, this government decided to bring together some of the young stakeholders, many of them who had passed through UB and had experienced Carnival. The Minister of Tourism, Ed Bartlett, he brought together some of the young Carnival event promoters and decided to make an investment. And this investment, the motivation was economic, financial, to diversify Jamaica's tourism product and to generate economic returns for the tourism economy at a time that there is typically low low number of tourists coming in and lots of space within the hotel. So earmarked was April, just after, just after the Easter period. And actually, that had been the period when Carnival was taking place, even from in the early 2000s, right? So this wasn't really something that was earmarked by the current administration in Jamaica. Nevertheless, they decided to bring together, that's the government, decided to bring together all of the government
Stakeholders at the time.
entities, all of the government entities necessary to stage a festival of the magnitude. So tourism, culture, national security, Ministry of Finance, all brought under one umbrella to support the carnival stakeholders who were also invited to the table. We're talking about mass bands, party promoters. So by 2015, there was one band. I think Jamaica Carnival had just made a return. But by 2016, you had 4 bands, all of them being very successful. You had hundreds of parties. And they were not only benefiting from corporate support, they all got sponsorship, but now they had government support and were being promoted and packaged as one Carnival in Jamaica event
Experience, yeah.
globally. The Jamaican government promoted this globally, and you found that a lot of carnival lovers who would typically go to Jamaica for some ackee and saltfish, jerk chicken, they would go to Duns River Fall, go to the beaches. Now they could get a 2 in 1.
Yes,
They
they
can
could have
fly
the
to
carnival
Jamaica,
experience.
get the carnival, and still go and get some jerk chicken, go to hear some reggae. So the carnival in Jamaica has been built on diversifying the tourism product of the country, and the economic returns have been very good. In 2024, the Minister of Tourism quoted an estimated revenue of approximately 5 billion US. No, that's a significant.
5 billion US.
Yes, that's a
just from the
significant
carnival
sum.
festivities.
Right, but it's what he cited is the money spent.
Right.
So yeah, he's quoting the number of seats, because you can't get a flight into Jamaica around Carnival. You can't get a hotel room, and Jamaica's room stock is one of the largest in the Caribbean. Certainly in the English-speaking Caribbean, it is the largest. You can't get a hotel room. Airbnbs are fully booked out. Restaurants, tour operators, transportation. So the economy, in the same way that Trinidad and Tobago really benefits from Carnival, Jamaica started to experience a lot of the economic benefits. And even a lot of the smaller business persons, the hairdressers, the persons who sell food outside of venues,
The makeup artists.
the makeup artists, let me tell you, they make a lot of money. The creatives, Jamaica has a thriving creative industry. Many of them started to pay attention to the economic returns. But you also have a issue about who is taking part, right?
Still.
Yes, the carnival is a contested space, a space with many debates. So
before you go there, let's just mention as well that in the current iteration of the Jamaican Carnival, there are lots of Trinis involved in the space.
Yes.
So there is an arm of one of the largest band in Trinidad, Tribe, connecting or partnering with or linking with a band in Jamaica. What do those relationships look like?
Right. So it's not just Tribe, it's also humor. It's also the Caesar's Army,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there are other entities as well. There are a lot of local entities from Trinidad and Tobago Carnival, not just the band leaders and owners, but also the creatives themselves,
Yeah.
from the DJs, all right? Lots of DJs come
The mass
and they come
designers.
regularly, the designers, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them come. You're talking about even event hosts, all right? Come, and many of them have formed alliances that make them a major player within the carnival. Not to mention the artists. No, I don't want to start calling names, but you have artists that come every single year. You wonder if they have shares in the carnival.
No, I wonder if Lucy is a anthem that belongs to Jamaica now. I
Oh
really
man,
wonder the way
oh
they
man. I
love
mean,
Lucy by Destro Garcia with such a passion.
and it is important to note that it's
Yeah.
not just Trinidad and Tobago artists and creators.
No, yes,
A
yes, yes.
lot of Asians come, a lot of intentions come, because remember, um, this experience, Jamaicans know, is not just Trinidad, because at the University of the West Indies, where for them they really got that exposure. You have people like Skinny Fabulous, who was a student at UE, right?
Right.
Up to recently, and many of the other creatives, they are well known and well loved within the space. People like um you have Rupi, but you also have the Queen from Barbados, Alison
Alison Hines,
Hines,
yeah.
right? And of course, Destran Marshall. And Bungie took Jamaica by storm. Jamaica has a love affair with Kes. So,
Yes,
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
maybe,
listening to a radio station in Jamaica recently and heard 5 Kes songs back to back.
yes, yes.
I was
And
like, wow, let's do a feature. That's
and
nice.
and most recently, people like Nyla Blackman
Yes.
really making a lot of inroads. But what's also quite interesting is uh, it's not just I know we're talking about carnival, but I have to make a plug for the observation I've made that even some of the Zest artists, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about the guy from St. Kitts and Nevis, who is of Jamaican origin. Can't remember his name at the moment. But he's linked to that whole group with uh of Zest artists in Trinidad. So Jamaica is as a cultural capital, meaning a space where their creative industry globally is well known,
Yeah.
globally. And it is part of the brand that, um, well, I believe is not being promoted enough. But the creatives are very aware of how important a lot of the carnival, soca artists, a lot of the creative, the designers, they are aware how important Jamaica is as part of that carnival diaspora. And
Yes.
many of them are seeking to come to get their piece of the pie. It's almost like virgin land that is you're asking developers to come. Many of our creatives in Trinidad and Tobago
And
have
in the
come,
region.
and the
Yeah.
region have come
Mm-hmm.
into the space to say, this is how we think it should be done. But
Yeah.
one of the things that I must say, because I again need to reiterate that, um, you know, the, the carnival is highly priced. It is very commercial. It is not something that you would say the average person can afford in Jamaica. It is quite
So the
exclusive.
1990 thought that Byron Lee had about mirroring the experience of Trinidad that perhaps exposed people to, or more people, more of the masses to the carnival experience is not necessarily what it is now.
Unfortunately, it is not what currently exists. The
Yeah.
Byron Lee understood, he did his research, and he understood the power of carnival to bring people together. That's what he saw when he came to Trinidad, when he went to Barbados and all the other countries in the Caribbean. that celebrate Carnival, and he tried to bring that. He really didn't get the support, but I can say that he was ahead of his time. All right. What currently exists now, it's not something I'm frowning upon. I'm a researcher. All right.
Right.
So I am merely immersing myself within the space and observing that Jamaica has decided to invest in this carnival product to diversify its uh, tourism brand to generate more revenue, not necessarily to diversify culturally what is celebrated in the country. So there's a bit of a cultural disconnect that I really do have to point out. While soca is widely played now, it's played a lot on the radio. I mean, quite shockingly in recent time, soca gets very good treatment.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about soca from Dominica and St. Kitts and Antigua, many of the countries, sometimes even before you hear it, because I do listen to Power 102 and many of the other radio stations from time to time. And Jamaica plays as much soca as many of the territories, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Surprisingly so. Let's
yeah,
remind listeners that we're on Power Conversations here on Power 102, speaking to Dr. Alpha Obika, lecturer at Karimak UE, but also doing a lot of research currently into Carnival in Jamaica, and with the intention of releasing a documentary, possibly a book, possibly. And also, I know that there are other research projects coming out of what you're doing currently.
okay. So let me talk about, I almost forget, getting so excited talking about the research and my own observations, right? So in 2019, my colleague Yvette Rowe and I decided to document um, what we were observing
Mm-hmm.
because we saw, well, I mean, I saw the increases. It was really mind blowing to me.
And this is just observing increases from
yes,
going to events. So you go
yes,
to event and it's at this particular location this year, or even if it's at mass camp, you stand in the event and look around and you're like, okay, there's a nice crowd. I have room to move. I could move
yes,
around. And
yes,
then 2 years later, you go to the event and it has tripled, quadrupled in size in terms of the audience that is there. That even at times they had to quickly change location in order to accommodate the new audience.
yes. So exactly as you have recounted, that was my experience. And
Yeah.
I said, look, while I'm busting a wine, taking a drink and having fun, I need to do some research to document this.
Mm-hmm.
Not to make a critique to say whether it's right or wrong, because I could tell that, there were a lot of issues um, that exclude, a lot of the events exclude people. I could tell from what was being presented that in many cases it was an import. You simply imported uh, an industry and tell them to perform and make the money and let them leave, right?
Yeah.
And you had a lot of local creatives scratching their head, you know, to say, well, why can't we get a piece of this pie? So 2019, that documentary started, and we interviewed lots of band leaders and the promoters, government stakeholders. But what we recognized is in our research for the documentary, we found that there were um, no books on Carnival in Jamaica. Very few chapters, journal articles, or any type of scholarly academic work.
Mm-hmm.
What we did find, however, um, was a lot of opinions in the
Yes.
media. We
Yes.
found a lot of newspaper articles, and that has its value. So we use that as a starting point, but we recognize we had to do a lot of primary research. So I would say, coming out of the documentary, that we are definitely, because we have a contract with an international publisher, we are definitely
Lovely.
bringing out a book. It's an edited
Yeah.
collection. Um, what we did was invite researchers to study critically, study critically this phenomenon, and we wanted it from a wide range of perspectives.
Yes.
So, without giving away anything, we're talking about looking at the economics of it. We're looking at analyzing Jamaica Carnival against the background of race and class and the economics of gender and sexuality.
Yeah.
We looked at it from the creative side, designs. We're also doing some research related to Junkanoo and some of the early origins, the impact of the University of the West Indies. So we anticipate that the publication will come out in by the end of next year, 2025. So we're currently doing a lot of work, both to finalize the documentary, which, as I said, was meant as a project to simply document our observations.
Yes,
All
but
right.
has expanded because
But it
you
has
noticed that
expanded
there
now.
was such a
Yes,
dearth of information.
there was such
Yeah.
rich information that we did not find in academic publications. We decided, while opinions are important, very, very important and valid, we need to have some type of attempt to critically analyze and assess the carnival that currently exists, and that would be used as a foundation now for scholars to build on and continue their own analysis.
Yeah. And you mentioned that what would have been available perhaps was opinion that you found in the newspaper, or maybe even profiles of people who were engaged in putting on events or playing the music. Um, but I wanted to talk as well about some of the issues. And I know some of those opinions you would have seen would be the criticism of the carnival experience in Jamaica by, let's say, the mass population of Jamaica. We have spoken this morning about the fact that there is a uptown or class that is used to experiencing carnival in Jamaica, or they started it, they experienced it first, and therefore continue that it's an expensive experience. Let's talk about some of the criticisms that carnival gets in that space.
Okay, so there are multiple critiques. I have to say that whilst I'm here talking about carnival, and or it may seem as if I'm celebrating, there, in large part, there are a lot of persons who are not quite happy with what is going on.
Yeah.
One benefit is the diversification of the tourism product and the economic return. That is cited as probably one of the greatest benefits. However, when you have a celebration that receives immense sums of taxpayers' dollars invested in a cultural product that is in many ways disconnected from the average citizen who does not go to a carnival event, has never been to a carnival or a soca event, um, is very much, they're not quite happy with the level of skimpiness that exists,
Mm-hmm.
right? There is a serious concern about the cultural authenticity, and whether the government, the government's economic motive is sufficient justification for spending on what they see as a
As a vulgar
foreign,
display, a foreign
foreign,
vulgar display.
foreign and vulgar,
Mm-hmm.
right? And to compound the fact that it's not from Jamaica and that it is promoting skimpiness and nakedness, the majority of participants that are captured by media and promoted tend to be of a lighter shade, right? Which further kind of separates the celebration from the masses.
Yes.
And on top of that, there is a religious undertone where the carnival happens at a time that is very holy,
Yeah,
very
it's Easter
religious. We talk
weekend.
about Easter.
Easter weekend.
We're talking about
Right
Easter,
after Easter. Yeah.
right? So even in Trinidad and Tobago, yes, we love to fet and party, and sometimes we use these holidays to stage events. You have the night before and the night after. In Jamaica, where the majority subscribe to some type of Christian doctrine,
Mm-hmm.
Easter is commonly understood as a very religious and holy period. And unfortunately, because the celebration takes place around this time, it draws a lot of negative attention uh, from influential persons in the society,
Yeah.
but even from citizens who say, look, well, why is this thing happening at this time? Couldn't they find another time that wouldn't conflict with our religious calendar, right? So there are so many different issues, and I would not say any is more important than the other. I think all are relevant, um, but the issue of government taking local taxpayers' dollars to invest in something seen as foreign, even if it is vulgar, if it is ours, we might tolerate it a
Yeah,
little, but it is
but
not
it's
ours.
foreign. It's
It's not
foreign.
ours. It's foreign, right? That
And I
is the
think there would
notion.
always be the comparison about what is being invested in dancehall or reggae. And has there been a similar economic distribution to that
Well,
cultural space?
that's a great question because what currently exists now seems to be a dancehall versus soca dynamic
Right.
within the cultural policy landscape. What do I mean by that? When you look at the level of investment from government on behalf of taxpayers into dancehall culture, it is minuscule. It is minuscule in relation to uh, carnival. Now, I don't have stats and data, right, for the level of investment into dancehall. However, what I can tell you is when you have the premier dancehall events, I'm not talking about Reggae Sumfest. There's a reason why it's called Reggae Sumfest. It has dancehall and reggae, right? But the event that has been billed as the greatest dancehall show on earth, also called Sting. Sting has had annual problems attracting corporate
Beans on the
funding.
reggae.
Yeah, they have had problems every year attracting funding from corporate or even from government entities. Now, their problems are not simply attracting funds. There's an issue of the behavior of artists. There's this sense that the space is not very safe, that
Yeah, that they
there,
may
there are
incite
current
violence or promote
violence amongst the
negativity. Yeah.
artists, amongst the entourage, amongst the communities. There have been multiple incidents of stampedes, etc. So this is not to say that Sting is that perfect event that the investor is ready to rush to. But when you have a dynamic where the premier dancehall event is struggling, and for some years it did not take place, but you have on the flip side, government taking taxpayers' dollars and investing wholesale into a cultural product that the masses are saying, but that's not for us. That's for the tourists. Then you have a bit of an issue there from a policy standpoint. So there's this dancehall versus soca dynamic that is problematic. It's problematic. Okay, I'm not sure if you're there with me, Kimiko. Sorry, you broke up there for a little while. Could you repeat? Or you're silent, I can't hear you. I seem to be having some connectivity issues because I'm not hearing what you're saying.
Okay, it seems like she has some sort of issue, like she's frozen.
Okay.
So we hold a few minutes and see if we get her back. All right.
No problem. No problem. Hi, Miss Scott, you're back.